No, ni siquiera me dio tiempo de servirme mi café. Muy buenos días a todos ustedes, muy buenos días también a mi mujer. Bienvenidos a otro episodio del Casino del Tío Salo, donde ya saben que aquí van a venir Farhan y Alex también a contarles de todo lo que estamos viendo en los mercados. Sin más ni más, yo creo que vamos a entrar sencillamente en el tema rápidamente dándoles un repaso del mercado, como se debe, con tablas, con toda la información que necesitan y sobre todo dejándonos fuera de narrativas y solamente contando la historia que nos cuentan económicamente las tablas, como debería de ser, sin tener nada de percepción. Aunque tengo que decir, cuando empiezo a ver noticias de cierto tipo en ciertas cosas, ¿no? Como lo que es Bitcoin. Ahorita estás viendo, Tesla movió sus Bitcoins y luego te dijeron que en Italia van a cobrar más impuestos en Bitcoin. Eso normalmente es muy bueno para Bitcoin. Eso es algo que debemos de entender y siempre platicamos acá. Pero bueno, vamos rapidísimo a ver cómo va todo. Vamos a ver el SP500 abriendo. Todas las tablas que les voy a enseñar el día de hoy están en diario, para que sepan, esa es la temporalidad que estamos viendo. Cada una de estas velas es un día. Esta podría haber sido una vela bastante bajista, pero no es una envolvente bajista. No llegó a tomar la parte de arriba del SP500. El SP500 está cotizando muy cerca de altos históricos. Básicamente acá. ¿Qué es lo que estamos esperando del SP500? Yo creo que es sencillo. Vamos a ver esto. Por ahora, cualquier oportunidad de que venga a la zona de los 5,790 hasta los 5,738 sería una buena zona para comprar. Tenemos buen momentum empujando para adelante, sobre todo considerando que vienen las elecciones, padres. Por favor, no se me apendejen. Luego tenemos al Nasdaq por acá. Lo que podríamos decir, hizo un doble techo. Vamos a ver cómo se da esto y vamos a ver rápidamente los promedios del Nasdaq. Estamos justamente abajo del promedio de la 9. El Nasdaq está cotizando en 20,118 en este momento, pero está dando un pompacillo por ahí, quiere trepar a esta zona. Cualquier zona de oportunidad también para el Nasdaq sería en los 19,969 y confirmación de que vas a continuar tu tendencia a la alza está en los 20,668 una vez que rompa y confirme este alto de acá, para que ustedes lo tengan en pantalla y lo puedan ver. Vamos a ver rápido al Dow Jones, como que no, el Dow Jones, potente vela. Uy, si es envolvente esta, espérenme, esta podría ser una vela muy bajista para el Dow Jones. Lo es, esta es una vela envolvente bajista que solamente se comió esta vela, por lo que vamos a ver qué se da, qué es lo que no queremos cuando vemos una vela así. No queremos cerrar debajo de ella. Eso quiere decir que el Nasdaq está cotizando en este momento en 42, el Dow Jones, perdón, en 42,756. No quieres que baje de 42,697 si eres alcista. Si eres alcista, con tener dos cierres abajo de eso, probablemente vaya a haber una corrección acá. Y vamos a ver, y también te puede dar la corrección justamente al nivel de los 42,584. Y también me gusta esta confluencia con esta línea por ahí de los 42,266. Bastante bien. Algo que me ha estado llamando la atención es el VIX. El VIX, que es el índice de volatilidad para todos ustedes que no se la sepan tanto, o que estén empezando apenas, el índice de volatilidad te indica cuando el mercado, básicamente cuando esto sube, el mercado baja. Y hemos estado viendo que está consolidando en esta zona, está creando bajos más altos. Sí, no creo un alto más alto en esta zona, pero este es otro bajo más alto que este y estás por encima de todos los promedios importantes. Aquí es algo de lo que tenemos que poner atención. ¿Qué es lo que no queremos ver? Definitivamente no queremos ver, si somos alcistas en el mercado, que el VIX suba de los 21.30 y confirme arriba de ese número, pero sobre todo que rompamos este alto en los 23.79. Si rompemos los 23.79 y después los 24.52, esto se empezaría a ver muy mal para todo el mercado tradicional. Vámonos rápidamente al dólar. El dólar hemos estado platicando todo este tiempo. Mi siguiente objetivo está justamente ahí donde está esa línea en los 103,484. El dólar ha estado parabólico para arriba, pero al mismo tiempo el mercado ha estado subiendo parabólicamente y también los bonos, etcétera. Y les dije, alguien nos está engañando. Alguien aquí nos está diciendo una mentira porque esta correlación está rota, ¿no? Y también puede ser que a futuro simplemente todo se haya roto y ahora funciona diferente, pero vamos a ver rápidamente el bono de 10 años en temporalidad diaria. Este es un alto más bajo que este. Y aquí es donde el precio, por más que todos creíamos que simplemente iba a continuar buscando el 3,23%, que lo va a hacer, Simplemente no todo baja en línea recta y no todo sube en línea recta. Entonces tenemos que ser pacientes. Acá estás teniendo un pequeño cruce plateado que sería bueno, pero vamos a ver qué es exactamente lo que puede hacer el bono a 10 años. En mi opinión personal, definitivamente primero va a venir el 3.9% y de ahí va a continuar su movimiento hacia la baja. ¿Por qué? Porque, güey, si van a bajar intereses, esta fue la oportunidad para todos de comprar y también la otra señal muy grande en los bonos que me fascina ver, y aquí pueden ver también al 30 años cómo perdió el promedio de las 9 y se está yendo después de un rechazo del 200, una desviación en el 200, cómo nos vamos para abajo, aunque haya tenido este cruce plateado, da igual. ¿Por qué? Porque muy probablemente vaya a venir a retestear esta zona de los 4.2% bajos y aquí vaya a continuar a romper este bajo en los 3.8%, este es el de 30 años, y continuar su movimiento para abajo. El peso mexicano, damas y caballeros, esto es algo que también nos dice que el mercado no va a estar bien pronto. Cuando el peso tenga su movimiento fuerte, y es lo que está haciendo, está consolidando en esta zona de los 19, donde ya está en 19.9, siguiente objetivo para ustedes que siguen el peso, 20.15. De ahí tranquilamente romper el 2021 nos daría una confirmación que nos vamos a ir a buscar el 20.6 y del 20.6 muy probablemente hasta los 22 pesos por dólar, damas y caballeros. Así que pendientes a este movimiento y lo que nos quiere decir. El petróleo ha estado cayendo sin lugar a dudas potentemente. Interesante. Aquí yo no meto las manos, porque el petróleo hizo este bajo más alto, creó este alto que es más alto que este, y todo el mundo cree que simplemente porque perdió todos los promedios y se ve para abajo que el petróleo tiene que caer. Personalmente, y esto es una de las primeras cosas que me metí en ¿cómo se llama? En TradingView y creé mi perfil y conté, dije, el petróleo tiene toda la cara que se quiere ir para abajo, pero aquí no me vas a engañar. Todo el mundo tiene el plan de dejar el precio arriba porque es lo que le conviene a toda la gente, a todos los gobiernos, etcétera. Y esto que personalmente creo que está pasando acá, yo creo que vamos a seguir viendo al petróleo repuntar, pongámosle atención. Y rápidamente, antes de cerrar, interesante el oro, me parece que hoy logró hacer altos históricos o hizo un doble techo en los $2,686 por onza. Bastante interesante y de nuevo, el oro nos está contando que hay depreciación, devaluación de nuestra moneda y esto simplemente es una advertencia de que se vienen cosas feas. Mi objetivo está en los 2,707, es el siguiente objetivo que tengo, simplemente sacando un Fibonacci de acá para acá. Ya saben, Dios sale usando Fibonaccis y mamadas. Y el día de hoy en el mercado, y ahorita vamos a platicar de todo esto, así que pónganos todo. Recuerden que si quieren tradear con nosotros, lo hacemos en el Trading Academy, en nuestro Discord. Es completamente gratis poder entrar y ser parte de la comunidad. Más de, no sé cuántos somos, entre 3,000 y 4,000 personas ya por ahí compartiendo ganancias y experiencias. Chido, chido, chido. Dense una vuelta por ahí. Y para cerrar esto, sencillo, ahorita le vamos a dar una vuelta, me parece, a Nvidia, seguro porque los microchips están sufriendo tantito. Yo creo que simplemente es algo temporal. Bitcoin, damas y caballeros, Bitcoin logró tocar nuestra resistencia, que fue una excelente zona para un short. En los 68,338 vieron el rebote a la baja y en este momento está cotizando en 67,341. ¿Qué es lo que estamos esperando de Bitcoin? Personalmente, lo que yo creo es que va a haber un retroceso a esta zona más o menos. Ahorita nos platicarán Farhan y Alex, que son los que le saben bien, bien, bien qué es lo que ellos esperan, cómo lo ven. Nosotros nos salimos de nuestro trade por acá, más o menos. No, estoy exagerando. Más o menos por acá. Nos salimos de nuestro trade que veníamos de aquí abajo, así que ya disfrutamos de algunas ganancias y vamos a volver a entrar. Les contaremos ahorita. Así que si quieren, únanse a Discord. Y aquí los vamos a ver a todos. Estamos listos para empezar esta mañana. Tengo aquí a Farhan, tengo aquí a Alex y vamos a darle con absolutamente todo. All right. I was waiting for your yawn to be done. You see how
Good morning, fellas.
people say I lied and I'm not thinking about others. Those people are fucking cocksuckers. Let me tell
What a
you.
nice guy.
How are you?
I'm okay. You know, I'm alive. I'm in there.
I saw you starting to have fun early yesterday, so I was a little concerned about you making it alive today. So I'm glad that you are.
Just barely though.
That's all that matters. As long as you got a pulse, motherfucker. That's it.
I need some coffee real bad. It's on the stove right now.
on the stove. You gotta get one of these things. It fucking takes 5 minutes. You put it in there. It's fucking delicious.
I made coffee, Brian. Feel free to partake in it.
French
There you
press
go.
are undefeated.
There you go. Undefeated. All righty, boys. Anything before we go into the market that you want to talk about, or shall we just jump into the charts?
I'm surprised that Tesla moving 225 million didn't dump the shit out of Bitcoin.
Well, to me, is every time they start putting out the bad news on Bitcoin or like anything that could be iffy, that shows me that it's going to go higher, because they also announced that Italy is going to now tax 42% of Bitcoin. And the more that they go against it, because remember, the road ain't an easy road on the way down, and it ain't an easy road on the way up. And on the way up, they tell you it's going to go down. And on the way down, it tells you it's going to bounce and go up. So right now, the main narrative, and this is what I've been paying attention to, is the scary stuff from Bitcoin. And the scary stuff, like, literally gets my bullish boner as hard as trigonometry. So this to me is like, we're going to all-time highs. We're definitely going to all-time highs. That's what I think, just based on the fact that they're trying to tell us that, look at Tesla moving their Bitcoin. Right? Like, and then they showed the transactions. And if you look at the transactions, they were like for cents. Seems like they're testing maybe taking Bitcoin as payment. That to me is what it seemed like.
They also did move 225 million from one wallet to another wallet, though.
Yeah.
So that was
not an exchange, just from one wallet to another.
Yeah.
That was it.
That's
so
what I'm saying.
It's like what Alejandro said. It was just iffy, but really nothing bad happened, I guess, from that.
Nah, the only thing I'm keeping an eye on is the peso dollar, which again is going up. But when it goes up, Bitcoin goes up. It's very strange. It's very strange. But it's going up, and also the VIX is kind of like hanging in a place where it's starting to get a little scary, if you will. It's not scary, fully scary yet, but it's getting scary, at least on the daily chart.
The VIX is looking interesting. Same with gold. I saw you were looking at gold.
All-time highs, baby.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's just the thing that keeps going up.
It won't stop. It won't stop because it knows they're going to continue to print all that delicious, nutritious money that's going to devalue all of ours. So good for us for being fucked.
This man, all Alejandro, in the X comments says Coca a la 749. Skull emoji. I'm sorry, sir. I need my Coke Zero.
It's fucking disgusting. I'll join on that one with him. It's fucking disgusting. All righty. Let's get on some charts. I got the first one. Interesting. The first one is PLCE, which I have no idea what it is. And the second one is Coinbase.
PLECE.
I do either one. I prefer to do Coinbase, though.
I'll just do Coinbase.
All right, you can do it.
Might as well.
PLCE, Senor Farhan. And whoever drops the screen first, that's what we'll share. And we'll get started with this fucking party.
Nice.
Very nice. Let us go, sirs. Wait, here it is. Okay.
Nice.
Oh,
so here's Coinbase. I haven't actually looked at this chart in a while. So let's go to the monthly and check this out. Because I know the monthly, kind of all eyes on that monthly. Let me make sure everything's set right. Cool. Yeah, and so, it's welcoming to see that this monthly is reclaiming the 9. That was a big spot where it was just iffy with Coinbase losing that 9. It's never a good sign when that happens. We rejected it in September, but it's nice that we're still seeing this monthly. Well, what is this? This is the EMA 21 on the monthly, still holding, and it's been holding as major support. So that's something I'm mentally noting just for my own self in this chart. But, I ideally want to see where this monthly closes, because if the monthly can reclaim the 9, very much just like, right here when we lost it, reclaimed it, we just held it up until that point and it led to major expansion up. That's kind of what I'd be eyeing, ideally. Now, going to the weekly, this weekly incoming is looking quite good. We see that this weekly is now well above all moving averages, and we're approaching that $211 zone. It's a pretty big zone for me. we can see Coinbase kind of just chopped in this range for many weeks. We broke down from it, retested as resistance, and then proceed to break down more. Now we're slow grinding up. We see that kind of started once this weekly EMA 100 was reclaimed, and it's actually holding. And so now ideally in 2 days, we just want to see, does Coinbase actually close back above it's 9, it's 21, it's 34? Doing that would be, a very welcoming sign. And ideally then we'd have to look at this 211 resistance. If we can pop back into that zone, then I'm looking at this range again. We can easily extend this line out. We have a mid-range at 238. Resistance now, bulls want this to be flipped into support at $211, and then major resistance at 265. Breaking that 265 will be a major point in Coinbase. And then, in my opinion, then it'll just kind of fuel what we see with Bitcoin, where we definitely could go up and test the highs again. But until then, we are at resistance. We're having pretty big weekly closures, a weekly closure incoming. So ideally, what I want to see into next week, assuming that this actually does close above all the major moving averages I watch, is just simply we go and actually close like this and then open up and maybe back test at 34 again. Kind of like we closed, where was it? It was essentially, I can't find it. No worries. To me, that would be a good opportunity. What I'm also liking is considering that 9 right here is lining up perfectly with that 187. So maybe next week we open up, wick down below the 34, tap the 9, and then this can act as a spring up, assuming we get downside. Remember last stream I talked about to Bitcoin at least, and this kind of corresponds with Coinbase. Any downside is, in my opinion, hopium. Currently as it stands, bulls kind of have the momentum here. And we are getting some pretty insane closures. So, I think the 5-day puts this kind of nicely than the weekly. As long as we can just keep closing back above this blue line here at 188, I do think Coinbase then will have bullish consolidation to potentially test this $230 level. If it can test this $230 level, this will be a big spot for Coinbase. Overall, though, it's looking quite good. I'm quite happy to see that. Because Coinbase, I'm happy to see it's looking better because Coinbase was looking pretty bad. We were just talking about right here, the breakdown of losing that daily EMA 100. The reaction here was nice, but then deviating the SMA 200 was not good. Now we flip to the daily. We do see, yes, we are at resistance. Seeing where this closes will be super key. It's welcoming to see that we currently, and let's see if we have any crosses active. No, not yet. It's welcoming to see though, the 9s flipped above the 21 on the daily. We reclaimed yesterday that daily EMA 100. We're now rejecting that SMA 200. It would make sense to kind of come down, maybe tap this 9 again, assuming we don't reclaim this SMA 200. It's very much like it's what we were saying with Bitcoin. If we can hold that SMA 200, that's kind of the area you'd want to look to bid, assuming resistance doesn't reject us down and we deviate. But this could be an easy trigger. If we reclaim that SMA 200 on the daily, pop back up above 211, then that can at least give me an easy long to 238. As it stands out, it's looking good. Momentum's expanding after hitting basically 7%. And that's kind of what we want to see from that, low is the expansion. We're seeing structures forming here where we're not really breaking the last low we made. We're now forming potentially a higher high. In my opinion, though, I think that'll really be solidified once we break this lower high. People are going to look at this as potentially a trend shift. I don't think so. I'm looking at this as the major lower high, considering we basically made a lower low from this point. So, right, it corresponds to what I'm saying. If we can, with nice momentum, break above 211, then to me, it's a nice trend shift on the daily. It's going to start looking good. This will start looking like a higher high in this zone. And then we'll long the higher low that could possibly come in at this SMA 200 retest. As it stands out, Coinbase is looking pretty good. It'd be something like this, right? We break up above the SMA 200. Okay, cool. And we patiently wait for that back test. That was a major opportunity before we basically went parabolically up. That's kind of what I'll be looking for if we get that. So yeah, I mean, it's looking good. It gives me more fuel that, Bitcoin is, looking better considering the fact that we were just talking about Coinbase on the monthly and it really wasn't looking that good. So it's welcoming to see that it's definitely improving. We're definitely going back above the bull market area, which is that monthly 9. That alone is usually a good buy. Once we lose that monthly 9, reclaim it. Generally speaking, that usually ends up being a good buy over time. So that's welcoming. So we just want to kind of see where that closes, and all eyes on this weekly, because this weekly closing like this, bullishly, could bleed into a nice monthly closure. Now, we again don't want a long resistance, and we are approaching it right here at $211.65, or just $211 in that zone. This is major resistance to me, so we have to look at that as kind of what it is. Breaking back above there, though, breaks this downtrend, and it gives bulls more momentum to actually go up. You would just want to then be on a higher low watch, which hasn't happened yet. We're kind of going up and grinding, but this little high here, where this vertical red line is going to be pretty key. I want to see that get broken first, and then maybe something like this, break above it, trend shifts. Bulls start longing, we start coming down, we wake up, and then we just start consolidating like this and push up. Something like that would make, a lot of sense for me. But that's kind of all I have with Coinbase. There's not really much to update. I'm just mainly watching these higher time frame closures. I know I could talk about the 4 hour, the hourly, but there's just no point. This quarterly actually was a pretty nice quarterly in the sense that we still held the 9. So there's some bull hopium. The fact that we did lose that quarterly, basically we got a closure under 187. It's not a good sign. So that's why I'm saying it's welcoming to start seeing Coinbase start looking more constructive, considering it was looking really battered down. The maximum go on this is like a 12-hour. And Coinbase as it stands now, again, just looks like the daily. It's at resistance. So you definitely wouldn't want to long this here, in my opinion. Even if, right, even if it could go up to this $212, $211, this is quite aggressive at this point. So in my opinion, I patiently wait to just kind of see if we do reclaim 211, because if we get a daily closure back above 211, then as a person who watches us closely in the charts, that we're now above the EMA 100, the SMA 200, and this major meme line, and it pops us right back into this range. And so that to me would be the trigger. Getting back daily closures back above 211 probably gets us back above, testing $238. Until then, we're at resistance. I'd really watch closely. You wouldn't want to lose this 187, in my opinion, because then that would essentially mean that we're deviating here. We don't want this EMA 100 to get lost. And I really, if we reclaim this SMA 200, I wouldn't want to see that get lost. If that starts getting lost, this puts a lot of weight that this EMA 100 gets lost. Then the last stance is that 9. If the daily starts losing that, then bull trap potentially. But till then, it's looking quite good. Momentum still expanding, approaching the top, but easily can still go up to this 90%, which is telling me that this is kind of the area bulls want to step in to kind of see if we press up. If not, this resistance will be pretty big, and so we'd want to see it act as resistance and reject here. If we end up rejecting and deviating down, that would look pretty bad. But as it stands now, it's just looking like a healthy rejection of the SMA 200. It's not really breaking down hard, and we easily could just bounce from 192 again. So watch really closely this daily closure. And then lastly, I'll just look at the 2-day. Why not? Kind of eliminates the chop, in my opinion, with the daily that we're dealing with. And the 2-day is actually looking quite nice. That's something I want to mention. The 2-day is actually looking a lot less choppier than this daily. And it kind of just solidifies that, I do definitely think we can get more upside. I'm liking the way this is expanding on BBWP. I'm loving this base on that 34 today. We dropped down, I don't know when it was, today or yesterday, essentially back tested this, got the spring up, it's closing today. And so all eyes on this 211 high. 2-day, again, looks a lot more clear in my opinion, and we're getting a lot of that confluence right here on why this should be major support. Confluence in the sense that we're getting that EMA 100 on the 2-day, we're getting that 34, we're getting that 21, and we're getting that 9 freshly, potentially about to cross that 21. All good signs for bulls. So I do like viewing, like I've been saying, the 2-day sometimes, because with that daily, we're just getting a lot of chop, especially with crypto across the board. So gauging it on a 2-day kind of puts it in a different perspective. And I wouldn't really be shorting this resistance zone. You really should all eyes be on a trend shift and then long the higher low. To me, that's the easier trade than trying to be a hero and catch a short. because the short here is pretty clear. Like if we start actually losing on the daily, like I mentioned, these levels here, and like closing, let's just call it a daily closure back above, back under like 170. Yeah, that would be pretty bearish to me. You know, and then we'd have to be looking at a potential breakdown at this 155 zone. But that's definitely that's not happening yet. Bulls are basically above all the major moving averages I watch, and the 2 days actually looking quite good with momentum expanding. So, you know, watch that $211, you know, or, you know, really basically it was
the 187.
Yeah, I mean, that's support. I'm trying to like watch that. Yeah, it was here. It was August 23rd high at $211.92. In my opinion, if we start breaking that even on a wick basis, then I think the trend's shifting and you should just be eyeing the higher low.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, indeed. I got Citigroup for you, which is just the letter C.
Okay.
All righty. Thank you.
No problem.
Vale. Estamos viendo Coinbase y lo primero que voy a hacer es simplemente quitar estas chingaderas y ponérselos en la trimestral, ¿no? Siempre queremos ver cómo se están viendo las cosas a futuro y normalmente en este tipo de gráfico, con este tipo de temporalidad, lo que quieres ver son tus promedios. Asegurarte que estés encima del promedio del 9, que justamente habíamos retesteado esto, lo habíamos perdido momentáneamente, pero esto justamente va a cerrar en 2 meses y 16 días, todavía le falta bastante. Está cotizando Coinbase en $202 en este momento con centavos. Muy bien, arriba del promedio 9. Eso nos quiere decir que muy probablemente la tendencia sea alcista y eso me gusta. Nos acercamos más en la mensual y en la mensual estamos viendo un poco de lo mismo. Donde habíamos jugado con perder la 9, habíamos jugado con perder el 21, que lo ven acá en los 170, la 9 está en 191. Y lo recuperamos. Tenemos estos niveles en el nivel de 160, nivel de 211 e importante el chop en el 188. Este es básicamente tu línea de Bitcoin que está en los 61,500, que si estás arriba bien, si estás abajo mal. Es básicamente lo que estamos viendo por acá. Cuando nos acercamos un poco más en la semanal, podemos darnos cuenta que esta es una gran vela. Habíamos perdido todos los promedios, el 21, el 9, el 55, el 100 y estoy seguro que también el 34. ¿Lo tengo por acá o no en esta computadora? Perfecto, no. Ahorita lo voy a agregar. Perdimos todo eso, pero ahorita los acabamos de recuperar con este velazo en este momento que está buscando los 211. Importante, esta es una zona importante. Cuando volteamos a ver la semanal nos damos cuenta que esto fue resistencia, esta línea meme morada de 211 con 27. Déjame, me aseguro que sí esté compartido en mi pantalla, si no esté pendejo. Entonces, ¿qué es lo que estamos buscando? ¿Quieres entrar? Probablemente que te gustaría entrar en un retesteo de la 9, aunque esto es en la semanal, yo diría en la diaria es la que mejor nos ejemplifica lo que estamos viendo, porque en la diaria justamente estamos encima del promedio de los 200 o abajo, estamos peleando con él en los 201.98, ahora estamos por encima en los 202. Y lo que quieres asegurarte esto que no sea un alto más bajo que este. ¿Y cuándo vas a entrarle? Uno, puedes ver que el 9 está por encima del 21. Eso nos dice que hay fuerza en el movimiento que estamos viendo en este momento, que es a la alza. Estamos a punto de cruzar el del 55. Y si nos podemos quedar arriba del 200, muy a la Bitcoin, ¿no? Que fue justamente lo que pasó en Bitcoin. Yo creo que Coinbase va un poco atrás comparado con cripto. Lo que estás viendo es ese movimiento en este momento. ¿Dónde hay entradas? ¿Dónde hay salidas? ¿Qué hago? Vale, estás en 202. Cualquier retroceso a esta línea de 188 es una oportunidad, en nuestra opinión, para poder agregar a tu posición a largo. ¿Quieres hacer un corto? Tendrías que caer de esta zona de los 100. Pondría el 21 acá, abajo de los 177. Empezaría a voltearme para hacer un cortillo. Pero por ahora tiene más cara de long, pero ya está extendido el movimiento y lo que quieres es simplemente que regrese más o menos a esta zona entre los 188 y 177 para poder tomarlo como oportunidad. Y normalmente sí hace eso el precio de Coinbase, para que puedan verlo. A Coinbase, uno, le gusta tener explosiones después de trepar cada línea de estas. ¡Pum, pum! Y sobre todo esta. Cada que hay desviaciones a la baja, tienes movimientos agresivos a la alza, tienes esta desviación, pero con cada movimiento agresivo a la alza, tienes bajones antes del verdadero movimiento explosivo. Puedes verlo acá, puedes verlo acá, puedes verlo acá. Entonces, esto no nos sorprendería si podemos lograr un alto más alto que este. Va a ser el siguiente movimiento que esperemos, es poder literalmente irnos por los 240 y de ahí a buscar altos locales en esta zona. Así que Coinbase se ve bastante bien por el momento. Para todos ustedes que lo están siguiendo, pueden ver cómo está arriba en este momento de todos sus promedios, y con Bitcoin estando tan fuerte, la cosa pinta bien para los Coinbaseeros. Vale. Farhan, we're ready for your PLC. I have no idea what the fuck that is, but
no idea either. Children's Place. What the fuck is the Children's Place?
It sounds a little Diddy-ish.
All right.
That's just me.
It reminds me of that one place I used to go to way back as a kid called the Children's Museum.
It sounds suspicious. That's all.
It really does. I wouldn't tell anyone stories about the Children's Museum. I don't know what happened there, but you might start remembering, and you might not want to do that.
Yeah, it might be one of those Diddy places where they had all the kids. All the kids come together. Don't worry, kids. It's Children's Museum.
It's just Diddy right there. Look, it's a clay. Oh, it's not clay. Blah 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 blah. Oh,
the one thing that we can note is that this shit has been going down only since November of 2021. Literally down only.
Damn.
I guess it makes sense because children kind of suck.
Or birth rate in the world is going down. That's probably why.
That's what my man Elon's been talking about for years. And people say that he's just stupid and retarded and he doesn't know what he's talking about.
He never knows what he's talking about until he makes $1 trillion. Then we'll doubt him again.
Yeah, everyone's like every single product he ever puts announces, they're like, oh, it'll never happen. He's just gathering engagement. He's just getting people all hyped up. It'll never be real. They said it with the Model 3. They said it with the Cybertruck. They even said it with the Model S. And every single time he proves them wrong. And every single time they do it again.
Yeah, I did love Fat Mara saying that the Cybertruck was never going to get made like that. And then he did, and he had to shut down his X account afterwards because he was getting bullied. Poor Fat Mara.
Bro is such a fucking retard, dude.
Yes.
Such a retard.
Big time.
He came to a coffee and cars event in Houston. I didn't give a shit. Didn't even want to go. Why was his daddy?
Was his daddy giving him money right there, or no?
Probably. He's probably handing him $100 bills on the spot.
Go on. I'm sorry.
But yeah, why would I wake up at 6 a.m. to meet him? But on the quarterly right now, we are still rejecting the 9 EMA, which we've been rejecting ever since around April of 2022. And we have a silver cross to the downside on the quarterly, which is a pretty high time frame to have a silver cross. And this is the first silver cross we've had ever since the 55 EMA has populated. Since January of 2011, we've never had a single silver cross. Ever since January of 2011, the 21 EMA has been above the 55. Right around, when was it that it crossed? October of 2022, when stocks basically bottomed around October to November, this thing made a lower high, made a silver cross, and then continued nuking to the downside about another 92%. Good Lord. But while it does look really bad that it's still rejecting the 5 EMA, the last quarterly close did confirm a bullish engulfing, and a pretty massive bullish engulfing, because we went below the previous low by, it was at 672. We went lower by another 27.5% from that previous low, and then we ended up going higher than that previous high, or closing above it by 33.68%. If only it was 0.01 more percent, that would have been a little bit nice. But we can't have what we want in the world, so it's a little disappointing. But yeah, that is bullish engulfing. But while we are still below the 5 EMA, I would say it doesn't really matter that much. If we can get above the 5 EMA, in my opinion, that bullish engulfing will be enough to get us back towards this 9 EMA. But I wouldn't say the 9 because of where we are at the HPDR ranges. We're at such extreme areas. I would expect it to make its way back up towards this 38.2%. which right now is somewhere around 31.80 to, let's see what the exact number is now. The exact number is $33.29. At that point, I would also expect that to take a very long time to play out. I think this would be around like 3 or 4 candles to play out. And since this is a quarterly chart, that would be around like 9 to 12 months. And at that, whenever that does eventually play out, this 21 EMA will come down. Very likely it's going to be around this 38.2%, right around that $33 number, $34 maybe. Maybe goes a little bit higher than 38.2%. And then I would just look for that as to be our next lower high and rejection point before we break these lows. Because the trend is your friend until the end of the trend. And as of right now, we are on a strong quarterly downtrend where we have a high, we have a low, we have a lower high, we have a lower low. Now we should be looking for another lower high. And this would be the perfect area to have that lower high. Retest of that 21 EMA, retest of this 38.2% while the ranges shift down. And then we would be able to have this new low well above this 100%. And then we're able to break these lows and go back down to the bottom of the HBDR range. But as of right now, we're at the 100%. So we should be expecting a bounce from here because statistically, there's a 0% chance of continuation from this point as of right now. But whenever we retest this 21 EMA and this 38.2%, these ranges will move down. Hopefully, it will be somewhere around this blue 38.2%, and then we'll have a 61.8% chance from there of continuation towards the downside. But as of right now, we have like a 95% chance of bouncing from here based off of these HBDR ranges. And I'm not one to bet against the 95% odds. On the HBDR momentum, we are getting it flipping back down again while volatility is flipping back up, which is a very, very bearish signal. It tells us that momentum is freshly back in the bear's control while volatility is supporting them, and that we should be expecting for a move towards the downside. Although I don't think it's going to play out right now. I think we're going to get our bounce first, and then that'll play out afterwards. The monthly is also a bullish engulfing, massive bullish engulfing. We ended up closing how much above this previous high? 97.5% over the previous high. That's insane. It's crazy how much these shit stocks move like cryptos, where they'll move like 100% on a single monthly candle. They'll go down 90s, 95% on like 3 or 4 month candles. It's insane. Monthly HBDR momentum is flipping towards the upside, while volatility is flipping down, and the jewel is flipping around within. If I could expand this, the jewel is flipping around and curving upwards right at the bearish critical zone, where it was not able to make it to it last time on the low of September 2022. This time it actually did make it into the bearish critical zone. Now it's flipping back around. It's finding resistance right around this pink fast moving average. If we can get above this, that's gonna give us indication that we're probably gonna break out of the bearish control zone and get that move that we were looking for on the quarterly, where we go up to retest at 21 EMA around that $30 range. And this would be a very significant signal to see it flip back up in the bearish control zone and it flip out of the bearish control zone. The last time we left the bearish control zone was January of 2021. See what happened on price action then.
Well, isn't that when it started to nuke? Oh no, it was November.
Yeah. So we ended up getting out of the flipping around in the bearish control zone right around this point. Let's mark that with the vertical line as well. All right, so from these lows, we ended up going up. Yeah, 171, almost 172%. And we got a very similar setup right now. We're just waiting for the jewel to turn that light blue cyan color, and then we're waiting for it to get out of the bearish control zone. And if we can, that would very likely give us enough juice to get up towards that $33 area, $30 to $34. How much of a percent up would that be? 200%.
That's insane.
Yeah, why even mess with cryptos, guys?
Just you have a PLC, the child thing.
Just get into this thing. Get into Diddy stock. Weekly right now is at very, very extreme levels after that move up. We topped out at the 100% area. We did not get any continuation from there because 0% chance. So we topped there now. Yeah, right. We ended up coming down. We retested it, rejected it again. So from here, I would be expecting short-term downside and consolidation while these HBDR ranges do move up. Just like how on the quarterly, we're waiting for the ranges to move down. On the weekly, we need them to move up before we get any type of continuation. Momentum on the HPDR is topped out at extreme levels, so at 99.15%, while volatility is also at 99%. So from here, it's very unlikely that we continue up towards the upside. We have to wait for this momentum and volatility to reset and the ranges to move up. That's probably going to take a couple of weeks to play out. At the very least, it's going to take like 2 months, maybe like 6 to 8 weeks, probably longer. And then where would I look for it to come down? As long as the ranges are right here, I would be looking somewhere around this 61.8% to maybe 38.2%, which right now that number is significantly lower than we are right now. It's just under $7, right around like $6.70 to somewhere around $6.28. And that is also a very significant dump from where we are right now. Yeah, it's like 45% down from where we are right now. This thing moves insane. The jewel right now on the weekly is giving us a very nice signal where the pink crossed above the yellow while they were all bunched up together right next to each other. And now cyan is above everything else and is breaking out of the bearish control zone. It's very close to breaking into the bullish control zone. So this is one of the nicest jewel buy signals that you will ever see, where they're all right next to each other. All of the moving averages are right next to each other, the fast and the slow, whereas the oscillator is crossing above all of them while they're all bunched up together. We basically already got that move whenever we got because it happened on this big green candle right here, and this candle was, I believe, very, very large, 313%. So that just shows you how powerful that jewel signal is. Where if you were able to catch it when you first saw this jewel giving you that buy signal, you would be able to catch that 300% move. How many 300% moves do you need to catch a year to make a living? Not even
just one.
Like half
just
of
one.
Like one fourth of one.
But then you gotta have the balls to hold it.
Oh yeah, for sure. This one move basically paid for the jewel like 5 times over, maybe 6, 10 times over. People are like, "Oh, this jewel is too expensive." Sucks to sucks.
It gets this fucking job done.
Same thing happened on the 2-day. We went up to the 100%. We could not close above it. Ended up consolidating right around the 100%. Then we started dumping. And on the 2-day, what happened is what we're looking for on the weekly, where the ranges started moving up, and this blue zone went from all the way down here to all the way up here. And then we started losing the blue zone. And we're at very, very extreme levels on the HPDR right now at 95%. So I would be expecting consolidation from here. The weekly told us that we should be looking for consolidation and down. The 2-day is telling us that we should be looking more for consolidation because we're at such extreme levels. There's only a 5% chance of closing below from here. If we do close below here, because we do have a silver cross to the upside, we should find support at the 55 EMA, which is currently $11.08. If we don't hold that 55 EMA, though, we're going to come back down towards the 99%, erase most of this rally. This is around $7.79. Everybody's going to get extremely bearish. And since there's only a 1% chance of continuation from here, I would expect us to get, if we do get to this area at all, I would expect us to get a very significant bounce and resume the weekly trend towards the upside until we end up making our lower high on the quarterly and then rolling over from there, nuking to Hades.
Yeah, basically.
Right now on the 2-day, our HPDR momentum is hitting very, very extreme levels. Volatility is almost tapped out, 96% on both, which also supports the idea that we should be looking for consolidation or a bounce very shortly. Daily right now is also entering very extreme levels on the HPDR. It's at 90%. Volatility is at 90%. We're just about to tap this 100 EMA. This 100 is, yeah, that's insane. It's down currently 37.5% from just September. So it's not even a month that it's down 37.5%. Not even a month.
That's wild.
Bitcoin doesn't move 37% in a month.
No, this shit is literally extreme.
This is like the gambler stock.
Yeah. Oh, that's why we're here, right?
Right. Yeah. You remember that HPDR level, which was around $11.08?
Mm-hmm.
That's basically literally where this 100 EMA is at. So it makes a lot of sense to come back down towards that 99% range, tap the 100 EMA, and make our next higher low on the daily, and then end up continuing towards the upside for the weekly setup, tap that quarterly lower high. That would take a very, very long time, get everybody bullish again, and then just nuke it from there and then end up breaking these lows. And then we'll get another one of those 37-40% moves in a month to the downside.
That'd be a nice short.
Check the RSI. Yeah, anything on this thing is nice. Long on this, and short on this.
Short.
As long as you're on the right side of things.
Yeah.
If you're not, then you get fucked.
Mega. Very Bitcoin.
It's like you were at a Diddy party. ain't no party like a Diddy party.
That's what Bow Wow keeps saying, right? Little Bow Wow. What a fucking retard. Hey, without him, we don't have any good parties. Are you, sir, understanding what you're saying?
Without him, people don't get raped.
Yeah, like what the fuck? Okay, well, it's Little Bow Wow either way.
You remember that one interview where Diddy's like with Justin Bieber at 15 or 16? He's like, "How come you don't hang out with Uncle Diddy anymore?"
Oh yeah, and there's several of those, by the way. There's one by a Lambo. There's one that's just like randomly they're just standing. Yeah, there's a few.
And then there's a clip from a news channel, I think, or a late show way back in the day, where Diddy's sitting next to Mike Tyson, and his hand like basically on Mike Tyson's side.
Saw
Mike Tyson
and he was like, "Nope, yeah, fucking gross."
Mike Tyson's the only person who cannot be raped by Diddy.
Absolutely, no, even if you drug him.
But he's like, "I don't want any of that there." I'm not being ableist, by the way. It's okay. On the quarterly, we're at like how many periods? 1, 2, 3, 4 periods of extreme volatility. So basically a year of 100% volatility. We should expect a mean reversion from this at this point. We should expect volatility to start contracting, and then from there to get a move towards the opposite side, which we were talking about on the HPDR chart. Lines right up at that 21 EMA, right around that $30 level. It's crazy how much of a move up that is from here. Just it makes me uncomfortable to say that we're going to go
almost 3x.
It makes me so uncomfortable to say because basically a 3x from here to touch 21 EMA. I don't like saying that, but this is what the chart is telling me, that we're probably going to test that 21 EMA. Right now we're at the bearish critical zone, and whenever momentum is in the bearish critical zone, it becomes that much harder for the bears to keep it down, and it becomes easier for the bulls to get it back out. Right now, to exit the bearish critical zone, we need to hit $16.46. Break above that, and we will exit the bearish critical zone. But even if we were to tap this 21 EMA, we would not get out of the bearish control zone. To get out of the bearish control zone, price needs to break above $53.52. I don't see that happening. I don't see that happening. It's still going to be within bearish control. Even if we go up to $35, $36, bears are still going to be in control. While people are going to get extremely bullish, talking about how the price just made a 3x, we're going to new all-time highs from here. At that point, volatility would have reset. We're still within bearish control zone. We reject getting out of the bearish control zone, nuke it again towards the bearish critical zone. Right now, monthly does have 3 drives of bullish divergence. It has 1, 2, 3 drives right here. It's finding resistance right at the edge of the bearish control zone right now and the moving average. To get out of the bearish control zone, price has to go above $15.89. And the moving average currently, we're just below it at $12.52. So if we can get out of the bearish control zone, our next target is going to be the middle zone, which right now the middle zone is sitting at $26.51, right next to our $30 target. And also on the monthly, we're getting 3 periods of extreme volatility towards the downside. So we should also on the monthly, it's telling us we should be looking for a mean reversion towards the opposite direction, which is right now towards the upside. And that would be aligning right with our 55 EMA. Where's the 55 EMA sit? Right at that $37, $36 area. And this 55 EMA is going to move down on the next monthly open. So because I think this move is going to take several months to play out. So at that point, this 55 probably will be right around this 32, 33, maybe $35 number. Tap that, reject it, because we have not tested the 55 EMA ever since like December of 2021. So the 55 EMA should be ready for a retest pretty soon. Right now, we're finding rejection at this 21 every single time. But based off of this bullish divergence, it seems like that we will be able to break this 21, which is at let's say $21. And then that would be enough to get us towards this 55 EMA while volatility starts contracting. Weekly is not much. Weekly is at extreme volatility as well. We should be expecting contraction and a mean reversion. 2-day, not much. That check the 5-day, nope. Daily, nothing. So right now, the only thing we really have is that weekly, on my bad, the monthly bullish divergence and the volatility extremes on the monthly and the quarterly. So that's telling us we should look for a mean reversion, and we should look for this bullish divergence to play out so we can make our lower high on the quarterly.
After consolidation, like some serious consolidation, right?
Yeah, but the daily is saying that we should be looking for consolidation and up.
Okay. So maybe just consolidating little by little, higher and higher.
Yeah, just like chopping upwards a little bit, like up, down, up, down, up, down. It looks slowly grinding itself higher until it makes me think of the classic phrase, stairs up, elevator down.
Down, yeah.
And then we should look for the quarterly trend to play out after that lower high is put in, and then make new lower lows.
Thank you, sir. Perfecto. I got Rivian for you.
Nice.
All righty. PLCE, Children's Place, la cosa más rara que he escuchado en mi vida. Ah, es ropa para niños, ya veo. Ok. Lo primero que vamos a hacer es, de acuerdo a todos los índices de volatilidad, momentum que usa Farhan, esta cosa, como pueden ver, ha estado cayendo como loco. Hizo un alto histórico en 162. El día de hoy está cotizando en $11.42. Acaba de crear básicamente un nuevo mínimo o hizo un doble piso, lo que normalmente en análisis técnico nos dice que probablemente esperemos una reversión, porque cuando tienes un doble piso hay más probabilidad de que el precio vaya para arriba que para abajo. Pero cuando estamos simplemente hablando de voltear a ver la tabla trimestral, cada una de estas velas son 3 meses, podemos darnos cuenta que tuvimos un cruce plateado a la baja que es súper bajista en una temporalidad tan larga. Esto va a tomar años, un año o año y medio en darse. Este movimiento, estamos por abajo de todos los promedios. El primer promedio que vas a ver está en los 22.18, que es el de los 9, pero está lejos, lejos, lejos. Vamos acercándonos rápido, sobre todo el movimiento en la de 3 meses que estamos viendo y con los indicadores de Farhan, les tengo que decir, todo está en extremos. En extremos en la de 3 meses, está en extremos de la de 1 mes y eso nos dice que hemos llegado al final de un movimiento, estamos exhaustos. Está llegando a la parte final de esa explosión de volatilidad favoreciendo el movimiento y ahora lo que está buscando el precio hacer es simplemente consolidar, y ahorita les voy a explicar cómo exactamente. Aquí tienen esto que, de nuevo, ¿qué es lo que estamos viendo en la mensual? Alto, alto más bajo, alto más bajo, bajo, bajo más bajo. Entonces hemos estado cayendo y vamos a continuar ese movimiento. Definitivamente a largo, muy, muy largo plazo, como en la trimestral, en la mensual, pero cuando nos acercamos un poco más y nos ponemos en la semanal, acá podemos ver que el precio está en este momento recargándose encima del 9 y del 21 con un poco de fuerza porque llevas al 9 encima del 21, eso es bastante bueno, pero tuviste un rechazo del 55, lo que probablemente te dice que esto podría ser una desviación. Tienes tu promedio de la 100 en 22.85, que en la mensual, si no, exacto, el promedio de las 21 está en 20.78. Cuando nos acercamos un poco más y lo vemos en la diaria, podemos ver que estamos siendo rechazados básicamente por todos los promedios, intentando rebotar en el del 100. Aquí es crucial. No quieres perder los $11. Si pierdes los $11, muy probablemente vengas a visitar la zona de los 9.75 y poder continuar ese movimiento a la baja. Lo que estamos esperando, de acuerdo a todos los índices de volatilidad y momentum que Farhan tiene, es sencillo. Creemos que el precio de PLCE va a hacer esto por casi un año. Y el objetivo de este movimiento, lo primero va a ser poder eliminar este alto en 19.70 y poder llegar casi hasta los $33. Pero este movimiento va a tomar bastante tiempo y va a tener bastantes altibajos. Lo único que quieres asegurarte es no venir a hacer un nuevo bajo y aquí tienes un gap en el bajo que normalmente se viene a cerrar, que de nuevo lo va a cerrar después porque tiene cara que va a continuar bajando. Lo que estamos viendo es que muy probablemente nos vayamos a quedar en el camino a este alto. Entonces el precio va a consolidar, probablemente dar un putazo a la alza y si tenemos suerte le vamos a dar a esta línea y va a continuar el movimiento para abajo definitivamente que lleva, pero el escenario que estamos viendo de acuerdo a todo eso es este. Va a tomar bastante tiempo y nada es asegurado en esto, pero es lo que tiene cara de con todos estos índices que, con todos estos indicadores que están usando. Pero pues vale, tío. Alrighty, Citigroup. Let's see what we got in Citigroup. C.
Perfect. I'm not muted. Yeah, it's interesting to see Citigroup so sold down. Yeah, just.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's like a shit stock apparently. They're a bank though. Yeah, so it's interesting to see that.
And a major one, by the way. Not
Yeah.
You're not talking about just a fucking shit bank that has 20 locations. This is one of the big four.
Yeah, so it was interesting to see that. You know, we can just see this move. I mean, this bank got hit real hard in 2008, and then it's just been basically consolidating and doing nothing for many years. So now on this monthly, it's actually looking interesting because we see here, this is the monthly SMA 200. You can see that we lost it. There's not a lot of data with it, considering, you know, even this chart is from the 80s. It's interesting to see that. So I'm eyeing this EMA 100 then. You know, and we can see that's kind of like once we lost it on that monthly, that was the sign that shit was kind of fucked. So what happened now? So it's interesting to see because on this monthly, we see that, you know, and this says 15 days, but, you know, it's starting to reclaim that EMA 100, basing off that monthly 9. And there's actually a silver cross on the monthly fresh, which happened right here, which is interesting to see because, you know, I've been trying to like find like a silver cross to the monthly that was pretty successful because we had this one on the monthly. And from this cross, I mean, it still gave, I don't know. I mean, from this cross at this point, yeah, price was like right here. I mean, so it still gave like a 12%. So that was pretty weak, you know, and I can't really find anything else besides going all the way back here. So, I mean, long story short, that's pretty good. Another setup too we're getting is a 2-week setup, which is pretty nice to see considering we do have that monthly silver cross. So it gives us more confluence of the fact that this could actually see a sustained breakout. We have that cross on the 2-week, but we're also seeing momentum go to pretty extreme lows, which it hasn't really hit in a very long time, in a few years. So, right, when this starts expanding, this could really start giving bulls the leg up to start at least going up a bit. And it would make sense, feeling some of this, you know, massive inefficiency we left to the downside back in 2008. You know, but for now, we are at resistance. We ideally want to just see this high at 60, we'll call it 67, get broken for a chance to actually come up to this wick high. I don't know why it wasn't on there. It should have been on there right here. Yeah. So ideally, that's kind of what I'm watching. I want bulls to actually take out this high and start moving up to the $77 zone. This will be a pretty big zone for Citigroup. We can see it's that $77 has been kind of a major rejection point through and through. And we actually, since breaking down, we actually haven't been able to get back above there. So that would be a pretty good sign if we started to get 2-week closures back above $77, $78. And even a monthly closure, we can see that would be like maximum confirmation is if we got 2 monthly closures back above 77. Then I would be more confident that we're going to probably see that 2-week fire off to the upside. You know, and I don't have the stats on the last time it happened. I didn't have enough time to back test it with this. But what we do know is, I mean, this stock going down as much as it did can pump pretty well. It just needs to kind of get out of this range that it's been, this multi-year range that it's been in. That's why I think $77 is a pretty important level. But we first just, you know, want to break this high and keep this uptrend intact that we've kind of started since making this low here. You know, we can see from this low, we kind of just had this, we've just been forming higher highs and higher lows from this point, you know, constantly going up in a daily uptrend. And that's why here is a pretty important spot, because what we want to see is another higher high formed, breaking this last, basically, yeah, this last high that was formed right on July 17th. So, with that, Citigroup's looking pretty good. It's actually looking quite constructive. I just kind of want to see where this daily goes. If we end up not closing back above this daily EMA 9, then I do think we can easily go back to $61, $61.30. There, that could be possibly an opportunity. If we start losing that $61.30, then all eyes on this $59.60, which is a nice psychological number. And that would be a pretty big spot for the daily. The daily starts falling back under $60, then we run the risk of coming all the way back down to here at this $49 zone.
I think that's doable. That's an engulfing bearish candle as fuck, like on the daily.
Yeah, it could, and it is engulfing. I mean, I'm especially with where we're at too. This is kind of the spot where bears want to start pushing us down. Again, to kind of end that structure of higher highs and higher lows. We start ending up rejecting here, falling down, breaking below $60 and actually taking this low. Then we can argue that the daily trend is back to down. This could just be the start of what bears want to see, is like the downtrend starting again. Right, and the macro is still down. And this stock, especially on a quarterly, is pretty sold down. So, I mean, this downtrend on the quarterly is still active. That's why it's very key to get back above this $77. For me, though, a pullback, yeah, it would make sense. Potentially kind of where we're at here. But I do think that $60 to 50, even right here, this 57, 59 could act as a nice opportunity. Because, the last 3 quarters, we basically have been defending that 9 since it got reclaimed. So I have to look at that as just major support until proven otherwise, which is lining up slightly nicely with that daily EMA 100. Daily SMA 200 right here at $59. Nice psychological number. But I would be watching this more on the macro, considering we are getting a 2-week setup. This could actually take Citigroup easily back to the $100, and this could really break us down if this BBWP on the 2-week really starts expanding here. I'm more on the bias so that we're probably going to see a breakout, and that's just because of the setups we have, the fact that the 2-week still holding the 9, even though the daily is engulfing right now. I'm more on just the higher time frames for this chart. I think it's a lot more clear. And yeah, we want to see where this 2-week closes. So if bears are really going to step in, they want this 2-week to actually turn red. And they want us to get a closure back under $60. If that happens, and yeah, that'll start looking a little more icky. Kind of like what we had here. We just kept rejecting that $68. We fell below that. Tapped that SMA 200 again. It wasn't until the next open where we just kind of dumped fully. That's why I just want to kind of keep an eye on this 2-week, because when we were in momentum, and I guess the last time we had it was at least this low was right around this zone in September 2018. But for bears, this was kind of where we were breaking down. So this whole move where BBWP started expanding gave us this move right here all the way down. And this was still a pretty nice move. I mean, from wick high, let me get it from the right point. From actual low with zero momentum down to here. Yeah, a nice 35% dump. So that's kind of like the same setup we're getting here. Momentum's low. It's basing. The difference here is we're actually, in a bullish structure, at least on the daily. We're now nicely above the 2-week 9. And we have a silver cross on the monthly, the 2-week, and a weekly to the upside. So very welcoming to see that on Citigroup. I do think that this can easily come back up to $77 over time. We just really want to see the reaction there. If we end up, squeezing up, maybe forming that higher high, coming and rejecting, that wouldn't be good. We wouldn't want this low to get broken, and this could really start breaking down. Again, we'll know that if we start breaking this $53 low. But if we can actually start breaking out, maybe we start consolidating, and then we get that 2-week expansion, that could easily take us to this zone, which would be a pretty massive move for Citigroup at this point. Nice 80% move to $114.
Get out of here. Fucking basically Bitcoin.
Yeah, exactly. That's why this area that it's in is very important. So if you're bullish, be very, very mindful that the fact that bears are really going to try to push us down. and they are currently. But we're still defending the uptrend on the daily and 2-day, and we're still basing off the 2-day EMA 9. And so this easily could get bought up. And that's why it's going to be very key to kind of see where this daily today closes. Popping back above the daily 9 probably gives bulls the fuel to keep moving up. We'll get that actual confirmation once we start breaking this dotted line here. If we start even wicking above this dotted line, then I'm watching any pullback to this zone at 67.50 as like support, 68, 67.50 as support. But overall, I'm pretty bullish on this chart, and I do think that we're going to hit $77. From there, I don't know where Citigroup could go from there. We'll have to come back and see, especially and see where this momentum pivot is. On like the at least BBWP is, if it's expanding, if it's not. If it is expanding and we're back above $77, then to me, yeah, this will easily get us back to $113, which would be a massive move for Citigroup and a bank. If it starts rejecting and breaking down, then big yikes. It just kind of would just solidify the quarterly downtrend again. Bears are going to be looking at this as a lower high on the quarterly. Don't get it twisted. And then, yeah, this again, we'd have to start looking potentially at a breakdown. But I'm not getting those vibes yet. I'm still hopeful that bulls can step in here. And that's kind of it. It is very welcoming to see that monthly silver cross, something that really hasn't happened in a while. It's also welcoming to see that we haven't flat out rejected this monthly SMA 200. Usually with this kind of like major moving average from a point where we broke down and actually haven't tested it, we usually end up really massively rejecting the first time we at least hit it. And that really didn't happen. Bulls are kind of consolidating exactly where they need to, and even slowly trying to reclaim that monthly EMA 100 now. So, bulls are really trying to step up finally on Citigroup. Again, this has been consolidating in this range since 2009. So, this really can take a long time still. But it is welcoming to start seeing a setup brewing here and actually structure starting to form. For me, if I was someone trading this, especially based on this 2-week, I'd really just end up waiting for the $77, $78 reclaim, and like a actual reclaim. Like, we wouldn't want it to get a closure and then deviated. This one closed above 1-2 and then lost it. So that's when I see something like that, I'd ideally want just like a monthly closure, two-week candles here above $77. Call it $78. For me to really get like at least more confirmation that we're probably going to see a breakout. What I don't want is to start longing here. We potentially reject the $67.38 trying to front run a big breakout that ends up not happening. And then that momentum flips to the downside, and then we end up breaking down really hard. So that's why for me, it's really important for this chart to kind of wait for the trigger, because even viewing it on the monthly is not that clean. We were claiming 77 on a monthly, and then we lose it. We were claiming it again, we lose it. We were claiming it again, we lose it. And that's why I'm mentioning, like, I'd really wanted to see like 2 months worth of $77 getting reclaimed. I kind of feel more confident, because this chart's very predatory in the sense that it traps bulls and then nukes, traps bulls and then nukes. So, that's kind of all I have on Citigroup. It's giving me a 2-week setup. It's nice that the monthly is holding this SMA 200, trying to pop back above the EMA 100 and holding the monthly 9. A pretty important spot for this chart. During this breakdown, that 9 was constantly acting as resistance, even all the way down to this point too. Now this was, I don't know, I mean, this must have just been the recession, but even
it was 2008. They were going to go out of business.
Yeah, so I mean, still massive breakdown from that monthly 9, leading to detrimental lows. So it is welcoming to see that the monthly is at least getting that, holding the 9. That is very key for bulls. The question is, do we just finally get some expansion here, or do we not? Do we just kind of start fizzling out? For me, I'm more on the camp that we will. We just kind of want to see where this closes. And yeah, that's all I have. I mean, the weekly is even looking pretty good too. Again, we just can't disregard this resistance at 67.50. Break above there, then we'll probably tap 77, 78. And then get back above there. Cool. We have an easy move to $100. But until then, it's just kind of in no man's land while things are slowly shifting to bullish momentum. The momentum is resetting. Citigroup starting to really reclaim some important levels on like a monthly. It's just a matter of like the trigger, and that trigger I think comes at $77. I think that would be an easy, logical cycle, like very, very like what's the word? A conservative entry, I think. Then trying to like balls deep long it here, where you really could get smoked because the macro is still on the downtrend. At least when we get back above 78, we can make the argument that the quarterly is now flipping trend. We're having a silver cross on the monthly, 2-week, reclaiming massive levels. Then it's like, okay, now we're getting more points for bulls. Until then, it's just all a thesis idea. We're still in a range, we're still at resistance, but it is looking good. And considering, you know, we've been basically just in that range since 2008, it would be nice to see a range break. And it would make sense to kind of see the BBWP on the monthly and 2-week be so low. Because that's what we would need for an actual range break. When it's in a multi-year range, usually those range breaks are big to the upside or downside. So as of now, I'm getting more bullish vibes on Citigroup. It just will be very key where it closes this next 2 week. Can it get back above 67.50 for maybe a move to 77? Cool. If it can and holds, then great. Then we can start talking about 100. But here's kind of the spot where bears want to start rejecting us.
It's crazy to me that this thing used to be over $400.
Yeah,
dude. So this chart right here, like that's what you were just showing us, basically. Citigroup.
I was wondering why it nuked, and then I saw 2008.
Yeah,
this is a historic chart because right here, you can spot it right here where it starts to go down. This is the area where Jamie Dimon got on his knees to Nancy Pelosi and ate her
and Mr.
kitty,
Obama.
basically. Exactly. And that's that. This is historic. This is exactly what caused 2008, and this is what made every banker a multi-trillionaire, gave him all the power in the world. We started even pushing more towards modern monetary theory. We started printing out of control, and this was like the floodgates, literally right here.
And he made a perfect lower high on there too, compared to that previous high.
It's unbelievable.
When was that high? Was it 2000?
Which one? This one?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, September 2000, before the .com stuff. Then you have like your bottom, because remember it was a two-way type of drop. Then it went back up. It kind of went back down, which is not crazy big deal. Then it went back up because they had all those fake mortgages and all the bullshit that they were selling, and then
their reverse subprime mortgage.
That's right. And then they got fucked all around.
Big time got fucked. And their chart is pretty bad. I mean,
if you look at what their business model was in that age, it was literally fraud. Literally, not even sugarcoating it. It was literally fraud. They would sell people mortgages they knew were fucked, and then they would be like, "This is a AAA rated mortgage," and then on the backside, they would bet against those mortgages to fail.
Yep. I mean, that's what they do. This is what banks do. No one gives a fuck about fixing the economy. That's what everyone needs to understand. It's all about how can I get more money? And that's Roku, Alex, for you.
Okay.
Fuck the world economy.
I agree. If I can just have a money printer and just become as rich as I can wildly think and imagine, fuck everybody.
When I grow up, I want to be Jamie Dimon.
Oh man, that's some serious shit right there. Alrighty. Están viendo Citigroup en este momento, obviamente uno de los bancos más grandes. Vieron la gran caída. Lo que estamos platicando ahorita nosotros es para regresar a esto. Estos máximos fue el 2000, un doble techo con el 2006, 2007. Esto fue la caída del 2008. Aquí fue donde le pidió Jamie Dimon a Nancy Pelosi que por favor, de rodillas, y se los juro, pueden buscarlo, que les regale dinero. Y con esto no solo salvaron al banco, en realidad no salvaron al banco, lo que hicieron fue darle un chingo de dinero y autoridad a la gente que está en todos los bancos. Se clavaron miles de millones de dólares a la nota de 800,000 y dejaron a todo el mundo comer mierda. Y como pueden ver, su acción lo refleja perfectamente. Ya estaba en $400, está cotizando en 63.94 en este momento, y este es un banco. Pueden ver cómo llevamos en este rango un gran rato. Esta es una tabla mensual, por cierto, por si se lo preguntan. Aquí tienen la trimestral. Cuando volteamos a ver la trimestral y prendemos nuestros indicadores, nos podemos dar cuenta que estamos por encima del 9, el 21, empezando a tomar fuerza con el precio. Nuestro siguiente objetivo acá, y lo que queremos, y ese es un punto grande en nuestra tabla, son estos 76, 77 dólares, que está justo por donde está el promedio de las 55. Aquí tenemos que poner atención porque este va a ser el movimiento que nos diga hasta dónde podemos llegar. Y también puedes ver la confluencia del promedio de los 100 con el 104. Me voy a acercar un poco más, vamos simplemente a la mensual. En la mensual podemos ver que hemos hecho altos más bajos, pero bajos más altos, y nos ponen el predicamento de justamente dónde estamos parados. Si volteamos a ver nuestros promedios, podemos ver que el 21 está por encima del 55, lo que nos da un cruce a la alza, un cruce plateado a la alza, un silver cross a la alza. Estamos por encima del promedio de los 200 por primera vez en toda la historia de la tabla, porque me parece que cuando populó, exactamente, cuando populó estábamos en caída, lo pueden ver acá en la mensual, y ahora por fin estamos por primera vez encima del promedio de las 200. Eso es bastante bueno para el precio. Empieza a darnos muchísima idea de que aquí hay bastante confluencia alcista. Nos gusta más ver esta tabla, y tiene razón Alex, en temporalidades altas que en temporalidades cortas. ¿Por qué? Porque es algo que está, literalmente lo pueden ver ustedes, está yendo de lado y se ha estado yendo de lado por un rato. Entonces estás buscando confirmaciones más serias en este precio. En la de 2 semanas también tienes un cruce plateado justamente acá, donde el amarillo se va encima del naranja, que es 21, arriba del 55. Estás encima del promedio de las 200. Lo único que quieres asegurarte es que esta no haya sido una vela topera. Tuviste una confirmación por acá más o menos, pero con varios cierres, pero volviste a regresar aquí arriba. Así que te la comes enterita. Nos vamos a acercar un poco más a la semanal para que también vean cómo mismo cruce plateado, la fuerza que lleva está por encima del 9, el 21, y estamos testeando esta zona en los 66, 67 dólares, que le cuesta bastante trabajo al precio poder mantener por encima de lo que nosotros pensamos es... Estos son tus altos bajos, ¿no? Estos son altos más bajos. Si puedes romper la zona de los 69, el precio va a ir a los 77, pero nosotros creemos que la manera correcta de hacer esto es esperar, porque en la diaria hay varias cosas que nos dicen que el precio va a ranguear un poco y de nuevo va a seguir de lado, y esta es una vela engolfante, ¿cómo se dice? Envolvente bajista. Cuando la vela cubre el cuerpo completo de la vela previa, y esta se comió 2, 3, 4, 5 velas se comió, y esta es en la diaria, así que mínimo una semana bajista. Lo que no quieres ver si eres alcista en Citibank es perder los 62.50 y tener 2, 3 cierres abajo de esto. Esto haría confirmación un movimiento más a la baja a corto plazo, pero como decimos, la idea acá es verlo en el gráfico de 2 semanas, poder esperar que esto cierre en 2 horas y 6 días más arriba, que no se vea como una vela topera, porque si esto empieza a bajar, esta se vuelve una vela topera, pero al 100, y nosotros no entraríamos a menos de que pierdas este bajo, y sería en corto para abajo, o que retomes el nivel de los 77. Una vez que retomes el nivel de los 77 y tengas mínimo 2 cierres de 2 semanas cada uno por encima para que no te hagan esto, aquí es donde abres un long y tu siguiente objetivo está en los 104. Eso sigue siendo casi un 40% de ganancias si te llegas a trepar acá. ¿Cuánto va a tomar? ¿Quién sabe? O sea, este gráfico literalmente viene acá desde el 2008 hasta acá. Lo pueden ver. Es una locura. Pero se empieza a ver bastante bien para Citigroup la cosa. Vale, pues ahí lo tienen. Y vamos a Rivian. Déjame, I'm going to answer this first. Hola, tío. Rivian retestará los 9.80. Una pregunta. ¿Crees que Rivian, en caso de que gane Trump, suba o después de las elecciones, y crees que le dará tiempo subir? Este es un dato que se me hace muy importante para todos ustedes cuando estamos hablando de Rivian o cualquier precio de cualquier cosa. A lo único, puedes jugar tu apuesta arriba o abajo. Vale, porque ¿sabes qué? Tienes un 50% de chance mínimo. Si no sabes nada de tablas, 50% de chance a que atines el movimiento. Si entiendes más, te va a dar grandes porcentajes de probabilidades más a tu favor. Pero una cosa a la que jamás le vas a dar es el timing de esto. Nunca, nunca. No te puedo decir si va a pasar antes, si va a pasar después, cómo se va a mover. Yo sé o espero que el precio se mueva en cierta dirección de acuerdo a las noticias que van a salir y a la respuesta de la gente basada en acciones del pasado, pero no estoy apostando absolutamente nada a ver cuándo pega. Y esto, normalmente este tipo de pregunta lo hacen para ver qué tan rápido puedo meter dinero que voy a necesitar después, pero que sea más dinero. Y eso es un error gigantesco, Carlos. Espero que no estés haciendo eso. Nadie nunca se meta al mercado a apostar con timing. Nunca. Y de nuevo, tiene que ser dinero que no te importe. ¿Por qué? Porque si te equivocas, lo puedes dejar 2 años y va a volver a crecer. Siempre y cuando no lo metas en estupideces. Pero de otra forma vas a acabar perdido porque si no llega, digamos que le pegas al fondo y luego sube rápidamente y dices, a huevo, no necesito el dinero hasta en una semana. Y un día antes de que necesites el dinero, baja una vez más a niveles más bajos de eso, pero necesitas el dinero, te la vas a pelar. No lo hagas. Vamos a analizar Rivian. Who's doing Rivian? Farhan.
Yeah, Farhan.
Me. Share my screen. I just got a notification that Yahoo is, or whoever wrote the article is shitting on Elon for donating 75 million to Trump.
Not even surprised.
Retards. Yeah. I mean, at this point, it's just like, come on. It's been the whole political campaigns have been so retarded. The fact that people are arguing, my guy got more donations. The crowd is bigger. Like we've reached the limit of stupidity in humanity. We really have. I think if we go lower than this, we're just gonna explode. There's no way. I hope so.
I love how they make points in the article. Like, by the way, he is the world's richest man. World's richest man is donating to Trump. But remember, Kamala Harris raised more money. She raised more money. They're like,
that's what I'm saying. Like, how stupid are they? Like, either way.
Remember the 2016 election? I believe Hillary Clinton outraised Trump by like 30%, 40%, something like that. It was a massive number.
Doesn't matter. Well, yeah, and that's not a good thing for us. That means that they are owned in a larger percentage by other people. Like, how? This is so stupid, dude. Sometimes I wish I didn't live in this reality.
I'd personally rather have fewer billionaires donating more money than multiple billionaires donating that money.
Yeah, I agree. So that at least we know what the three guys want to do. Like Elon.
Yeah, at least Elon wants to do some good shit.
I hope so.
Well, that's what he's telling us before he enters the supervillain arc.
Exactly. All righty, let me pull my Rivian chart. Let's go.
So on the monthly right now, we are finding some support, not much, but some support at this top 38.2% area, which we should expect a reaction from. It usually doesn't break right through the 38.2% right away. It takes some time before it breaks. I think it eventually will break because we're entering extreme areas on our HPDR momentum. We're just about to enter the bullish control zone and we're flipping back over. So this would be seen as a rejection of the bullish control zone while volatility is starting to flip back over as well. So with this setup and on the next monthly open, momentum will almost certainly flip back down, come under the bullish control zone. And that would be enough for us to break through this 38.2%. And the next target after breaking below 38.2% is the median. And the median sits currently at new lows at $7.50. And almost certainly it's not going to stop there because usually it doesn't just stop at the median. It likes to make its way down to the bottom 38.2%. This is probably going to take a couple of months, so this ranges might move up. They might not because sometimes they like to move down because this shit is very bearish. But right now, that bottom 38.2% sits right around $5.50. And if it were to hit $5.50, in my opinion, that would be the area of maximum opportunity. Because I don't think it's going to go much lower than $5. I think whenever it breaks this previous low at right around $8.26, it comes down to $5. Because that would be how much of a dump from current lows?
30-some%.
Yeah, around 33% down from current lows. Everybody's going to be like, all right, that's it. Rivian's going bankrupt. It's over. Tesla's the only game in town. From there, we would probably get a massive move up. Probably get like, I'm sorry?
By the way, the narrative of it will also coincide with what you're saying. Because last time we reached new lows, they were like, they're never going to make money. And then Elon comes out and says, they're going to go bankrupt if they're not going to find any money. We're going into that But now what people had was like the hope that they were going to turn profitable now, and that was going to help, but they're not because they're making less cars. So that will be actually more accented in the price, which would totally make sense of what you're showing.
And I would expect not just a bounce on this 38.2%, I would expect a God candle. Like probably somewhere back from here up towards the median, which would be, it's 33% down. Towards the upside, though, it is like 37%. I would expect that. I would expect that type of move to happen in 1 or 2 months, to be honest, from that area, because usually extreme moves to the to either side bring extreme moves in a mean reversion. So if we were to get from here and bounce back up and close over the median, that would tell me that we've put in our macro low at this point, and that we should be looking for continued upside from there. But as of right now, we should be looking for downside. We should be looking for this, at the very least, this median to be hit, which is $7.50, new lows. And since we're breaking these lows and we're testing the median, very likely we continue lower and hit this bottom 38.2%. And the reason why I think that we're going to break the median is because we're flipping over from very high on the HPDR momentum. We have a lot of room to go down before it bottoms out. It usually likes to bottom out in somewhere around the 70, I believe 60, high 60s to low 80% area. So we have a good amount of room because we're at 50% right now, just over 50%. So we can go down to negative 80%. That's like 50% down before he goes negative, and then another 80% before he bottoms out.
God
so
damn.
Median, I don't think that's going to hold because of that. Weekly is now breaking under the bottom 38.2%. We retested it, rejected, and now we're getting another move towards the downside. And now the ranges have stepped down as well. So based off of this weekly setup with how our HPDR momentum is looking, it is flipping down within the bearish control zone now. Volatility is flipping up. We should expect to hit somewhere around the 78.6% at the very least. Right now, that's at $8.87. $8.87, right next to this previous all-time lows. And whenever it goes that low, the monthly setup is going to take precedence. We're going to break down below 38.2%, and then that's a free ride to the median, basically at $7.50.
God damn.
2-day right now, the ranges have moved down. Now we're at the right at the 38.2%. We've tested the bottom several times, rejected the 5 EMA every single time, and we're still rejecting the 5 EMA. So as of right now, this is a setup. Although while HPDR momentum is pointed up, volatility is pointed down, it should be a setup for the median, but we're basically already at the median. It's at $10.63. We can consider this a front run of the median until we get over the 5 EMA. If we get over the 5 EMA, we're probably going to go higher than the median, probably going to go to this top 38.2%, which right now lines up with this meme line at about $10.76. But that would also, oh my bad, $11.76. Mm-hmm. That would be a perfect retest of this 21 EMA for the silver cross to the downside. I would look at that as another lower high before we end up going down lower, because it's not going to be a free ride to the upside or the downside. It's going to be some fuckery in between.
Oh yeah,
and that would make a lot of sense with how the 2-day HPDR momentum is pointed right now. That we could go back up to this 21 EMA, but we have to get over the 5 EMA first. If we don't get over the 5 EMA, it keeps acting as resistance. That idea is out the window. Probably going straight down to the 61.8%, around $8 area, and then probably a little bit of a bounce, and then very likely lower. Daily right now is rejecting not only the 5 EMA, but it's rejecting the median on every single tap. So that's giving me more of an indication that we're probably not going to go up from here, and we're probably going to continue towards the downside. First target is going to be this bottom 38.2%, $9.66. Probably we don't bottom out there, because this thing likes to go down to the 50% on the daily. And right now the 50% is right at low $9, like about $9.37. Then the weekly and the monthly will take over, and we're going to go significantly lower. Let's check the RSI. All right, so on the RSI monthly, right now we have confirmed drive of hidden bearish divergence right at the middle zone. It's rejecting getting above the middle, and now it's back into the bearish control zone. From here, we should be looking for the bearish critical zone, as long as we don't break out of the bearish control zone. To break out of the bearish control zone, we have to close over $11.96, which I don't see happening anytime soon. I see more likely as a retest of that area, and then a test of the bearish critical zone. Right now, it doesn't tell you what that price would be because it's so far down. It's probably a negative number that tells you that it's impossible. But it's probably going to be somewhere around that $5 area if I were to guess, based off of the HPDR. Weekly is freshly into the bearish critical zone. No divergences though. 5-day, nothing. 3-day. 3-day has bearish divergence confirmed after a little attempt for some hidden bullish divergence, which was invalidated, and then we put in bearish divergence. Now we're within the bearish control zone. We're rejecting this simple moving average right here. Our next target is going to be the bearish critical zone. Bearish critical zone sits currently at $7.71, which is a new lows, and right around that $7 number we're looking at for the median of the HPDR. Median is at $7.50, so it lines up perfectly with this bearish critical zone.
On the monthly, right?
The monthly median, yes.
Yeah.
So we should get somewhat of a bounce right around that 750 to 770 area, but I would be looking at that as another lower high before we end up breaking down lower towards that bottom 38.2% at currently, which is at about $5.50. And we're getting volatility expansion right here on the BBWP, where volatility is expanding from around 6%. Now we're currently at 58% with this move towards the downside. So volatility is supporting the move towards the downside, and we're only at 58%. This thing likes to top out in the high 80s, so we could go a lot more in volatility, which would tell us significantly more downside price action for Rivian before volatility is tapped out. 2-day has confirmed also hidden bearish divergence within, and this is a projection of getting out of the bearish control zone. We're currently at the bearish critical zone. To exit the bearish critical zone, we have to close over at $10.47. That's possible, sure. We can exit the bearish critical zone. We can retest this simple moving average. Right now, the simple moving average is at $11.07. That wouldn't really do anything for structure. All it would do is just give a mean reversion so our momentum indicators can reset, and then we would get more downside. Daily doesn't have much. So right now we do have, on the 2-day, we have hidden bearish divergence. On the 3-day, we have regular bearish divergence. On the weekly, I think the monthly was one that we also have hidden bearish divergence. And the HPDR is at literally at a hairline of support right now at the top 38.2%. So with how the momentum indicator is looking, how volatility is looking, we're very likely going to break that, retest that median $7.50. Maybe get a little bit of bounce, very likely get a little bit of bounce there. Maybe even all the way up to $10, who knows? Or up to those previous lows at $8.27. That's going to be a very significant resistance once we break below $8. Retest that area somewhere between $8.30 all the way up to $10. Make another lower high, and then eventually down towards $5 is what I'm thinking.
By the way, this shit goes to $5 or $7. What a buy. What a buy. Imagine, because you just buy at $5 and you sell at 21, 22 whenever it goes up. You made almost 5 times your money. If that that extreme scenario really plays out, and the company's not going to go anywhere simply because of the brand. This is something that people won't understand, and it's very hard for them to understand when they look at numbers and say they're not making money or whatever. There's always someone that will pick up a business that has appeal.
It's the same thing they said about Tesla.
Yeah, 100%. Oh, this is going to be good. I'm gonna dump 60% of all my cash on Rivian when I think it's right, and the rest I'm gonna just dump it on Tesla too. That's gonna be the easy move to fucking double, triple your money in 2 years. Easy.
It's gonna be like an easy lottery ticket to like 10x your money if you buy two year-out calls on Rivian at $7.
Also, yeah. Also, fuck yeah, I guess so. We just did Rivian. You did Citigroup. You are doing Roku, Alex. So we got Farhan. PAYC. Is that PayPal?
PAYC. Let's see. Did you hear how Google, it's Paycom, Google removed the Bitcoin chart?
Yeah, which again, how stupid and pointless is that news?
Yeah, it means nothing.
But see, Google is removing we're going to all-time highs, boys. Going to all-time highs, send it. It's already here. You know it. Let's go. All righty. Let me just show Rivian and let's get into the next ones. Vale, estamos viendo Rivian y de acuerdo a todos los indicadores de momentum y volatilidad que está viendo Farhan, sobre todo en el HPDR, estamos viendo que en esta tabla mensual podemos ver que aquí Rivian está cotizando en 10.28, altos históricos están en 180, un 18X para abajo, y el promedio de las 9 está en 13.16, promedio de la 21 en la mensual está en esta línea de resistencia casi en los 19.52, está en 19.73. ¿Qué es lo que estamos viendo? Altos, altos más bajos, bajos, bajos más bajos, altos más bajos y probablemente en camino a formar un bajo más bajo. ¿Por qué? Porque de acuerdo a todo lo que es momentum, volatilidad, la volatilidad está expandiéndose, pero en lo que el movimiento se está dando a la baja. Cuando expandes la volatilidad y el movimiento está dándose a un lado, eso quiere decir que tiene cohetes en la parte de atrás este movimiento y va a empujar mucho más duro y hay una gran probabilidad mucho más grande de que el movimiento sea extendido. Eso quiere decir que se dé, que haya algo de rebote. En todas las temporalidades, todas, es bajista. En el HPDR de Farhan estamos literalmente en la parte alta del 38.5%, nos está rechazando, y la parte baja de ese canal está en los $5.50. No, la parte baja de ese canal está en 7.50. 7.50 nos pondría en un bajo más bajo, pero lo que estaba diciendo Farhan es que eso no sería la extensión de todo el movimiento. Probablemente romperíamos la parte baja del canal. Si llegáramos a romper eso, el objetivo van a ser los $5.50. No sabemos cuánto vaya a tomar eso en darse, pero en todas las temporalidades, sean altas, medianas, les voy a poner semanal para que también vean en la semanal cómo se ve esto. Como literalmente todos nuestros promedios ya están bajando en nuestras líneas meme. El promedio de las 9 está por abajo del 21, abajo del 55. Tuvimos esta desviación acá, que fue un rechazo y va para abajo el precio. Tienes un alto más bajo que los pasados, tienes este bajo y ahora vas a ir a buscar ese bajo, aunque estás consolidando en la zona de los 10.26 por este momento. Si nos acercamos un poco más en la diaria, te puedes dar cuenta que seguimos con este gran cruce plateado a la baja. Déjame ver si en la de 3 días también lo está dando. Todavía no. En la de 2 días. En la de 2 días ya dio un cruce plateado a la baja justamente con este belongo para acá. Y eso nos da una probabilidad alta de ir a probar el promedio de las 9 y ser rechazado. Eso quiere decir que probablemente tengamos un movimiento a 10.85. Lo único que nos puede sacar de este tipo de movimiento es poder romper los $12. Si rompemos los $12 contundentemente, podría cambiar el momentum y exactamente toda la dirección del movimiento, pero por ahora hay mucha debilidad en el precio y lo probablemente vayamos a seguir viendo caer, que es lo que hemos estado hablando todo este tiempo, y tal vez tengas rebotillos por acá, tus promedios, pero con el promedio del 21 estando en los 11.87 aquí en la de 2 días, sabiendo que va a continuar bajando, básicamente me dice que hay muy poca probabilidad de que tengamos un rebote fuerte ahorita a la alza para ir a barrer estos altos en básicamente en $14. Así que bastante bajista se ve Rivian en estos momentos. Y también recuerden, cuando bajemos acá a esta zona, la empresa va a valer $8,000 millones como lo hizo antes. Cuando bajemos de esta zona, va a valer $5,000 millones. No les voy a decir a nadie jamás qué hacer. Jamás. Pero yo les estoy diciendo esto. Aquí la gente va a empezar a perder la cabeza. Van a decir que Rivian no va a hacer más dinero. Van a decir que no pudieron, porque se supone que en el cuarto iban a empezar a sacar margen positivo en todos sus coches y ahora están produciendo menos, vendiendo menos. No es por ellos, es simplemente deterioro económico, punto. Y parte de restricciones en préstamos, etcétera. Eso los va a llevar a que todo el mundo diga que se está acabando, es el fin del mundo, y tengo que recordarles algo antes de que lleguemos a ese punto. Una empresa que ya tiene una marca de este tamaño, que tiene esta presencia, que tiene el valor de marca que ha generado Rivian y el amor que tiene de sus clientes, esto no se va a ir a cero. Y esto te va a dar una oportunidad, o mínimo a mí una oportunidad gigantesca de comprar abajo de nuevo. No gano un centavo con que ustedes compren Rivian o lo vendan, me da absolutamente igual. Y ojalá y pudiera mover el mercado, pero no puedo. Pero lo que yo voy a hacer es poner 60% de todo mi cash abajo de los 8, entre 8 y 5 es donde voy a estar apuntando. Voy a poner literalmente todo ahí y esperarme. No importa si toma 2 o 3 años. El precio de esto va a volver a los $20 a cierto punto. Y si hasta me toma 4 años, estás hablando de un 5X de esos precios o más. Así que aquí hay una oportunidad grande que todavía no se da. Sigue desarrollándose. Para mí, y ahí ustedes verán, harán su análisis y me dirán si les late y lo quieren hacer, pues ya saben que de acá los apoyo siempre, quieran o no hacerlo. Así que vámonos. Alex, let's go with Roku.
Roku, nice. Yeah, so as we've been saying, Roku's actually not looking the worst. I mean, compared to like Disney and stuff. We see here we essentially back in August reclaimed that monthly 9. We were basically under that since losing it in February. So all year we were basically under that EMA 9 on the monthly. It's welcoming to see that the monthly 9 got reclaimed. We basically rejected off that monthly 21. So that's going to be pretty key for bulls to reclaim that. What I'm liking too about that is it's lining up nicely with that $78.39 zone. It's a pretty big zone for Roku. And getting back above there puts us in a bigger range, in my opinion. What I also like about Roku, not just with the monthly lining up with that level, but also the daily. Now, was it the daily? No, it must have been the 5-day then. Let me just look at that. Yeah, I'm liking the 5-day as well. Because we see here that 5-day EMA 100 essentially has been a huge point of rejection. Basically, when we first rejected that in December of 2021, where we mega nuked, and then at this point when we rejected it here, back in February before, again, we mega nuked. So this is a pretty big spot for Roku on the 5-day. Ideally, the easy trade would be if Roku can pop back above that daily EMA, the 5-day EMA 100, and actually close above it. We basically are rejecting it now. If we look closer, bears are kind of front running the rejection now. So, it really will be key to get back above $79.47, but mainly get back above there. That would be my confirmation, because we could easily get back above $79.47, do a mini rally, and then massively reject there and deviate this meme line. So that's all it is, just a meme line. That's why I really want to see that 5-day EMA 100 get reclaimed. While we're seeing that expansion on BBWP after hitting, what was it? After hitting extreme lows. So this setup here that is now firing off is giving us an upside move. For me, we'll get a bigger breakout once this gets reclaimed, and you can just kind of see it. It is holding price down, but that is something I'm watching. If we start reclaiming that, then I do think that, right, we're not clearly going to go to 150s in one move. I do think then it depends on two things. We first then would need to break this high at 109.50. That basically is the last rejection high here. If we can start breaking back above there, then we can start again talking about a potential trend shift, especially on that weekly. We can see here that this is a massive lower high that Roku put in before majorly rejecting. So ideally what we'd want is to get back above this dotted line, and that'll probably fuel us to that 149. I'm liking that 149 because on the weekly, we're getting that SMA 200. On the 5-day, we're getting that right around the same zone. And it's a pretty important zone for Roku. So ideally, that's kind of what I'm watching. This easily could start rejecting here. Bears want to start flexing. But as long as that weekly 9 acts as support, it doesn't matter if we reject here and come back down. That just to me looks like a retest of the weekly 9. Something we haven't been able to do since this last retest here before we got that expansion up. Telling me that weekly EMA 9 retests usually act as an opportunity, at least in this zone we're in. So it's going to be very key. This is, again, the spot where bears want to start massively rejecting us down. For me, that rejection could come if we start losing this weekly 9. But another point for bulls is we're about to silver cross potentially. It's unconfirmed, probably happens within the next 2 weeks. If price can keep going up back above 80, then this will move this 21 back above the 55, giving us a silver cross, solidifying that weekly 9 is a good entry. Hasn't happened yet though. So until then, I'll just be watching patiently, either to see a rejection here, to potentially a retest of that 9 or a breakout. And then I'll just simply be watching for a retest of that $79, a massive zone for Roku overall. And then, we ideally could be reclaiming that massive moving average, which has basically been holding us under for a very long time now. For many years, we've basically been rejecting off that. So that'll be a major point for this chart if you can start reclaiming it.
It's just barely 3 years.
Yeah, just 3 years. It's been active resistance. Any shorts in that weekly EMA 100, let me just show it, has been basically an opportunity. Here it was, the deviation was an opportunity. This actual rejection was an opportunity. And then coming all the way up here after we lost it, this was the bearish retest where people went short. And of course, that was a major opportunity. So seeing that, yeah, it would be very welcoming to get a closure back above there. And ideally, more than 2 closures. We see here, we did reclaim it, and then we held it, and then we lost it. So ideally, just keeps holding it, consolidates. That could really start playing in the bulls' favor. But again, this is kind of where bears would want to step in. And this is the rejection zone here. So ideally, we don't see a massive rejection. I, again, wouldn't be surprised if we do see downside. The question just is, how much will that be? Do we just go and test that weekly 9 before we get a bigger bounce, or do we actually lose that weekly 9? If we start losing that weekly 9, yeah, that won't be a good sign for me, because we simply just see it acts as resistance pretty heavily when Roku's really going down and really trending down markets. It really does act as major resistance. So we have to look at that as first a major point of support, unless we lose it. Let me just check the daily. Yeah, daily's kind of on support now. So ideally here, if we start losing that 34, which is at $73.23, I don't know why we wouldn't go back to test this EMA 100 again. Currently, it's at $67.75. To me, that would make sense. But again, it all will just kind of depend on where bulls actually want to step in. Do they step in here and get a bounce at the daily 9, possibly expanding that daily momentum more up? It is expanding. So is it more in bulls' favor that momentum's expanding while we're testing the 9 now? Or is this going to end up being a major rejection and this starts resetting and then expanding for bears? Something we don't want to see if you're bullish on this. So I do think, though, we easily can come up. I do think we can easily fill this gap. And I do think that Roku's really starting to look pretty good here. It's just a matter of this one zone, in my opinion. If we keep rejecting this zone, then yeah, all bull bets are off. And you just kind of want to hope that this 67, 68 holds. But if we start reclaiming it, then yeah, I do think this will be a major shift in the chart. This is something that hasn't happened in a very long time. While the 5 days giving us a nice setup, this could really easily push up a lot more. I do think from this point, right, if you're just conservative and you want to wait, from the next point, easily could be a 32% move. So I do think patience is warranted. If you're bearish, this is kind of the spot where you want to start looking for a short. And if you're bullish, this is definitely not the spot you want to long, because you'd be basically longing into massive resistance. So that's kind of it. It's just more of a wait. Who wins here, bulls or bears? The bears fully reject us, losing that weekly 9. Let me go back to the weekly. Or do bears? I don't know why I keep going to the 2 week. It's very annoying. Or do bears actually, and bears lose this 9, or do bulls step in and reclaim this weekly EMA 100, holding it as support, flipping this massive meme line as well into support, giving us that nice move to this high. I do think that as long as we're under here, though, we have to be more cautious of a rejection. But we are seeing things slowly start to turn more in the bulls' favor, especially with potentially this fresh silver cross in the weekly. That's still not happening yet. So we really want to keep watching that closely. But, with the 5 day, the 5 day has neither. What was it? Was it the daily?
Probably the 2 day or the daily.
Yeah, it might have been the 3 day then. Or no, was it the monthly? No, definitely wasn't the monthly. I'm tripping. Yeah, it was the 3 day. So, with the 3 day silver crossing now, it can definitely bleed into the weekly, in the 5 day, which is kind of what we want to see. That would be very ideal, is if we get that weekly silver cross with that EMA 100 reclaim. To me, that'd just be an easy trigger. You just wait until that 9 starts moving up. You long the retest of the 9. assuming that can actually start moving up more. Because how I'm looking at it is, we could see a rejection here. I do think that we would then pop up and go up like that. And then I wouldn't be longing, even if we went up all the way here. I'd patiently be waiting for this, a retest, and then that's kind of where I'd go long. That's just, to me, a very obvious entry. It would correspond potentially with that weekly silver crossing, and then we just bid the 9 potentially, assuming that 9 can start really growing up, and actually meeting this support line at $79.47. Looking quite constructive. It's looking pretty good on Roku. Again, you just don't want to long this right now because we're at major resistance. But we're at that point where, this is closing in 2 days. So if bulls really want to take control, get back above here, then, it's kind of nothing but air in this zone, which literally it's true. When you have these massive inefficiencies that just come down, they leave gaps. I mean, it's just rapidly aggressive down moves. So it's a nice recipe for big squeezes, because for years, bears just get accumulated and used to shorting. And then, I'm sure people are stacking in the shorts right here. Usually it can be a recipe for a bigger squeeze. So really watch this weekly EMA 100, because for me, that's kind of the big spot. If Roku can reclaim that, I do think big moves happen from this point. It just will be and also, rejections, big rejections happen from this point. So why make it harder, and why look at anything other than a weekly or even a 5-day if you wanted to have a little more loose? Doesn't really matter, because the closures all kind of correlate. And just really eye this weekly EMA 100. To me, that should be the point where, if you're really bullish on Roku, that is what you want to start potentially forming a long thesis if we can start reclaiming it. And if you're bearish, then this is again the area where you want to kind of start looking for a short, assuming bears actually start moving. But for now, they're not, and we're still very far from that weekly 9. So that easily could, we easily could dump here 6%. It still would be bullish to me. So just, put that in the back of your mind. That is something we're dealing with here. But pretty good. Let me just check here. Maybe
I love the setup.
It's looking good, and it's pretty simple, actually. As long as you're not like going to the 10-minute, the hourly, the 4-hour. No, it's just like focus on the weekly. Why? Well, because it's like when people are on the 15-minute, the hourly, the 4-hour, they're trying to find a setup. For me, it's really chill, because when you have a stock this sold down, now giving us a potential big setup here, it's very easy to not try to front run this, because that, okay, if we start reclaiming it here, even on this dump, and then we formed a structure in a higher low, I'm sure people on this, once we reclaim this weekly EMA 100, we then massively pumped, right? It was like from here to here, from the wick high, we went up 51%. I'm sure there's so much FOMO here, but we wait for structure, we wait for the higher low, and then that's when the real move happened, actually, was when it formed a higher low here. Then instead of that 50%, you got a 350%. So really, there's nothing, there's no like you're gonna miss a move. It's just more of, you might have to just use lower leverage for a more logical stop. But I would be very keen to just watching this weekly. This is an easy setup. 2 weekly closures back above here, and it holds. That's kind of what we want. We don't want any of this bullshit where it's consolidating and then it completely deviates, because then I don't want to play that at all. I'll be watching for this kind of setup where we get that bearish retest and reject. But ideally, we want this on the flip side. So, wait for the breakout, and then like that. And then if we go and retest, maybe the 9 then slowly starts moving up, go matches in price, and we'll bid that with the weekly silver cross. Boom. It can be a very logical setup, something I'll be waiting for. And then when I get that, I won't be, what do I do? No, because I'm just waiting for it. But it will depend on A, this weekly silver crossing, and B, this massive resistance actually getting reclaimed. If that can happen, then I do think that's enough for a trigger. And we just essentially wouldn't want this $79.47 to get lost, even on a daily closure, in my opinion. If it can hold, then good. If it starts losing it, so you see how like we broke above, it held pretty nicely. We got the expansion up. It's exactly what we want to see. What we don't want to see is this. This is just not clean. We broke out, and then we just kind of chopped around it, not really doing anything, and then broke down. Ideally, this would be very clean. Break above it, chop, kind of get red, trap shorts. We retest it. We never lost the meme line. And then that's where we got the expansion up. So that's kind of the exact thing I'm watching. Just want it definitely on a weekly, because you definitely don't want to be longing resistance right here. It would not be good. And remember, we've only tested this CMA 100 one time, and then now 2 times.
Yeah.
And that those both have led to massive rejection. So it's just something to be really mindful of, but I'm cautiously very bullish on this. I do think that a major opportunity could be possibly brewing for Roku, which is interesting to see. Possibly, I mean, catching a 30-40% move on a stock is pretty insane. And even if Roku wanted to go all the way, test that weekly SMA 200 would be a pretty big 93% move. So don't think that's going to happen. I'm more keen that we're probably going to see this move down more with price. It's probably go to the 140 zone. And I do think that 140 to like 150 could act as a range easily. You could use this last, basically, I'll show you. There's either last wick low here, mix in with that last rejection high. Then and then I'll make this, instead of it dotted, I'd make this, and then white. So now we're kind of dealing with like a range here. So any rallies into this range, we got to really start watching it as major resistance potentially. But yep, looking pretty good. And if we can get to that point, then there's a major shift structure in like the quarterly, because we can see here we've been consistently in a downtrend aggressively. I'm looking at it as the last major lower high here. So that's why I have it. That's why I talked about this zone. This is kind of what will fuel us if we break above here to actually test this out. We get to the zone though. You have to really like ask yourself, like, on the macro, the trend has shifted. We're now in an uptrend. So we all should be looking for that higher low. Obviously, that hasn't happened yet, but that is just something we should be gauging for the future. So this is a pretty big point for Roku. It's welcoming to see it. And I like setups like that because it's super easy. It's very logical too. It's just a waiting game. As long as you don't front run it, then you don't get screwed, because you have either a nice short setup or a nice long setup. It's just, what is the chart going to tell you, rather than you try to force it to tell you something. I could go, let's long this to 110 right now. And then we reject that 5-day EMA 100 and I look like an asshole. So, and I also don't want to just blindly short it, because, the last 2 times we've majorly rejected it. I'm almost certain bears are going to be thinking like that, which might even fuel us to squeeze higher. And that could just be why, that's how we get to that $110 zone. So patience will really pay in Roku. I do believe that.
Oh, indeed, sir. Thank you. That was so good. The next one will be CVX for you. CVX.
Roku hits close to home because we got a Roku system over here.
Look at you, boys. This is why it's going up, because you guys got it.
Because it's like we were talking about last stream, like, why is Disney not looking good, but Roku is?
It's because we have Roku system. We don't have any Disney shit.
That's what I was about to say. Like, Roku, I think, makes TVs too. So they're almost like in that Samsung kind of play field where, Disney Plus and all that, Netflix, they just are streaming. That's it. Where I'm almost certain Roku makes actual TVs.
Yeah, and TVs get cheaper every year.
Yeah, it's true. Absolutely true.
Those 60-inch 4K TVs used to be like $7,000.
Oh yeah,
now they're like $500.
I know, it's ridiculous. I like it. I'll take it. I'll take the deals.
Cheaper TVs, but outsourcing all labor to China.
My Jewish blood is calling. I'll take the cheaper deals. Thank you, guys. Alrighty. Estoy viendo Rivian por alguna razón. No, esto es Roku. Sí, esto porque Rivian solamente va para abajo. Es como si hubiera empezado acá y va acá. Roku sí tuvo su alza y su baja. No les voy a mentir. Aquí hay un setup muy sencillo de ver. Muy, muy sencillo. Y además hay una correlación en la mensual con ese setup. Y es justamente este promedio de las 21 que está en los 78.40. Puedes ver esta línea que está acá. Los voy a llevar al setup para no hacerla de pedo, para que lo puedan ver. Pueden ver, esto es en la semanal. Cada una de estas velas es semanal. Lo que pueden ver es una cosa. El promedio del 55 y el 21 están a punto de cruzar, dándonos un Silver Cross, ¿no? El 9 está por encima del 21, lo que nos indica que hay fuerza. El precio está subiendo. ¿Qué más estamos viendo con las formaciones de velas? Tienes fácilmente, para entender, una tendencia alcista. Esto quiere decir que de acá a acá hay bajos más altos, pero has tenido estos altos más bajos, y normalmente esto podría contar como un alto más bajo también, pero no lo vamos a contar así todavía. Lo que quiero enseñarles es esto. Déjenme quito mis demás promedios, todos menos el 100. Y quiero que vean esto. Es el promedio de la 100. Y el promedio de la 100 ha funcionado perfectamente como rechazo desde el noviembre del 2021, solamente por 3 años, señores. Entonces, pasamos por acá, venimos a retestearlo. Quien hizo un short de este promedio en este momento fue una puta leyenda, porque se llevó de acá hasta la zona de abajo un 85% de movimiento a la baja. Es una locura. Pero ahora que nos estamos acercando al promedio de la 100 una vez más, y podemos ver que cuando estamos por encima del promedio de la 100, el precio le gusta explotar a la alza, podemos ver acá donde estamos parados, donde el precio está justamente tocando el promedio de la 100, que se encuentra en los 80.72. Nosotros tenemos nuestra línea de resistencia en 79.27. Depende cómo la acomoden por acá. A mí me gusta aquí donde está. ¿Qué es lo que queremos ver? Es muy sencillo. Les voy a poner los demás promedios: el 9, el 21, el 200, el 55. Nosotros creemos que el precio de Roku va a hacer esto, a la alza. Y de ahí vamos a tener que fijarnos en algo muy importante, que son estos altos que se encuentran en los 108. Eres alcista en Roku, lo que quieres hacer es esperarte a cerrar arriba del promedio de las 200, dos cierres, para que no te hagan esto. Porque si tienes este tipo de desviación en Roku, pues ve lo que te comiste, ¿no? Te fuiste de 108 hasta literalmente $48 en esto, creyendo que ya lo rompiste. Y acá fue de 99 a ese número. Entonces, como puedes ver, lo que quieres esperar es poder romper esto, que se dé el cruce plateado, que ya te está diciendo la tabla que hay un front run de él en la de 3 días, donde ya ocurrió. Está por encima en todos, en las temporalidades cortas de todos los índices, y lo único que probablemente vayamos a ver es estos promedios que acaban en el 67, más o menos por ahí, que esto sea nuestro nuevo bajo más alto y poder empujar a la alza. Ahora, si tienes el rechazo en la semanal del 100, gran oportunidad para hacer un corto y venir a buscar este mínimo o mínimos más bajos, porque estás creando un alto más bajo. Pero si te trepas por encima de tu primer objetivo a romper, van a ser estos 99, y de ahí este alto en 108. Y ya ahí veremos qué es lo que se da. Viene el promedio de las 200 por acá en los 149, que se junta justamente con esta línea M. Pero va a bajar. Y si va a bajar, puedes poner otra línea justamente en el rechazo, en esto, justamente en esta zona, y poder crear un rango de dónde podría estar esto si es que el precio supera esta zona. Ahí lo tienen, damas y caballeros. Eso es Roku para ustedes. No hay Water People en Tijuana, tío. ¿Se acabó o no hay? ¿Qué es lo que está pasando en Tijuana? Perdón que no me estoy dando vuelta a todos los estados para ver si está o no disponible, pero si no, si la tienen disponible, bébanla. Es la mejor agua que existe en el planeta. PAY, por favor. Okay,
PAYC.
PAYC.
1 second.
Paycom.
Why is it not sharing my screen? Mouth. Okay, Paycom software. I've literally never heard of this shit in my life.
Me either. And we've never charted it either, which is weird.
Technology services, packaged software. Interesting. Market cap of 9.36 billion. There's a multi-billion-dollar company that does software. I've never heard of them. I don't know how much history do they have. They've been around since 2014, apparently.
Ain't that incredible?
Yes, and from 2014 to 2021, they were basically up only. And now they're down only.
That's what it appears.
Yep. Just when it makes you think one thing is going on, it's like, psych, bitch, we're doing the other thing now.
Yeah, we ain't going there. We're going to go here instead. Oh, nice. Thank you, Price.
And now we have a silver cross to the downside on the monthly as well, which confirmed on January of 2024.
Excellent.
That's when we gapped down like hard. This is one of the biggest gaps down I've seen in a traditional stock. We ended up going down. It opened at 37.7% lower than the previous month.
Even the weekly has a gap. I've never seen a gap like that on a weekly.
And that gap right now is like probably 50% away from price action right now. Yeah, very close to 50%.
Wow.
It's like 46, 47% away currently from price just to fill that gap. And you know what would be a perfect fill of that gap? Is a tap of this median right here. The median lines up perfectly with that gap. I'm not saying we're going to hit. Yeah, I'm not saying that we're going to hit the median. It's very interesting that it lines up with the gap. Right now on our HBR momentum, we tried to break out of the bearish control zone, rejected, flipped right back down, and now we're below the moving average as well. As you can see, very like a ball sack here below the moving average. Very close. Well, volatility is not ticking back up, and volatility is right above the moving average too. So this would be a bearish setup. The jewel right now is trying to flip back around. It's at the pink. Every single time it's gone to the pink, it's been resistance, and we've dumped from there. Dump, front ran it, dump. Now we're slightly above the pink. So this is not the most bearish sign on the jewel, but we're still within the bearish control zone. So until we get out of the bearish control zone, bears are still solidly in control. All this tells you is that we should be expecting some type of mean reversion bounce. And that would be expected considering how low we are on the HBDR, where we went all the way down to the 88.3%. So from there, you would expect some type of mean reversion. Right now, we're basing off the 78.6. It is looking a little kind of, I don't want to say bullish, but it's looking not bearish. As long as we're holding this previous low right here at $153.08. As long as we hold that, we're probably going to go back up to retest this 100 EMA. Right now, the 100 is sitting at around $198.54. This is most likely going to be resistance because it's been resistance every single time, and the trend is your friend until the end. So we should be expecting a rejection right around this 100 EMA. It's possible we can wick a little bit higher, tap this 38.2%, which is at $208.45. But I would expect a major rejection, and I would expect the wick to end up closing below this 100 EMA. And then you would see a continuation of this trend towards the downside after that rejection. But as of this point, we should be looking for a mean reversion unless we lose this low at 153.08. Then mean reversion is out of the window, and the HBDR momentum is going to take precedence. This is going to continue downwards. Volatility is going to start ticking up, and we're probably going to lose these lows and come down towards the 95%, which right now is at about like $117. Quarterly is also telling me that we should be looking for a mean reversion because we came all the way down to the 100%, failed to close below it, tapped it right here. Now we are getting a bounce. In the quarterly, how's the momentum looking? Yeah, the HBDR momentum on the quarterly is at very, very, very extreme levels and is starting to tick back up. So that's telling you that we should be getting some type of move towards the upside, which is going to be a mean reversion of this. And also volatility is doing the same thing, where volatility is tapped out at extreme levels and now it's contracting. So previously when volatility was expanding, we were getting a heavy move towards the downside. So now we should be expecting the opposite, where we should be expecting some type of move towards the upside to reset our momentum and volatility indicators and the HBDR ranges, and then we can get continuation. But as of right now, from where volatility started expanding for real, it was like right here actually. We got a move down of 75% from volatility expansion. Insane. So we should be expecting a pretty large move as a mean reversion, maybe all the way up to this 9 EMA, because right now we've been rejecting this 5. So as long as we're below the 5, I wouldn't hope for that mean reversion. But even the 5 EMA is still a decent amount above price action. It's like, this isn't going to seem like much for people who are gambling on crypto, but for traditional markets, a 17% move up is pretty big.
Yeah.
But what's more likely, based off of how low we are on our HBDR and how low the momentum is, I would be expecting somewhat of a move towards this 9 EMA. And that one is how much away from price action? About 35%. And I would expect that 9 to come in as our next lower high before we end up moving down. But if the HBDR ranges are not moved down at that point, I would expect consolidation here and then the range is to move down, and then we can continue towards the downside. But I wouldn't expect downside from here because we're at such extreme areas. That 9 EMA has been resistance ever since our initial dump back in January of 2022. We closed below it, retested it, rejected, retested it, retested it, retested it, went sideways, retesting it, and then we got our massive dump. On this dump, when we rejected it for the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6th time, we moved down 56%. So our next tap of it, if we were to apply that same logic, 50 to 60%, that brings price somewhere around $107 all the way to about $86. I'm really liking that $100 area though, because $100 is a very round psychological number. So I'm thinking $100 is where we possibly get if not a reversal, a very significant bounce. But I'm thinking we probably get a reversal around $100. And that would just be on the macro, it would just be a higher low. Because this thing has just went, like on the 3 month, it's just went basically up only for 7 years, I believe. Yeah, 7 years of up only. So it's not out of the ordinary to see 3 years of down after 7 years of up only. That $100 area would be right around this previous consolidation block. And that would be a perfect higher low. And then from there, we would expect the long-term macro trend to continue back towards the upside. But as of right now, the trend on the quarterly is to the upside. We're on an uptrend. The monthly, I believe, is in a downtrend. Yeah, the monthly is in a downtrend, but the quarterly is in an uptrend. 5-day momentum is starting to shift down while volatility is shifting up. That does kind of coincide with us getting a little bit of a consolidation or move down before we get that mean inversion. 2-day right now is momentum is shifting up, volatility is down, but what this setup gives you whenever volatility is going down and momentum is up is it gives you a statistical target of the median. Where are we rejecting right now? Right at the median. So we've basically already hit that setup where we've went up to the median, we've rejected, and now we're getting a move down. And if we close in 4 hours below $162.83, we're going to lose the blue 38.2 zone, and we're very likely coming down towards the 61.8, if not the 78.6. Right now, the minimum target is the 61.8, and that one's going to be around $156. 78.6 is right around $150. Daily is giving us the exact same setup where HPR momentum is to the upside, volatility is down, and we got a perfect rejection of the median once and twice. Now we're getting a move down. So we should be, since we're projecting the median, we should be targeting the 38.2%. And that one, actually, this thing likes to go to the 50% on the daily. So the 50% is sitting right at $158.24. It lines up perfectly with our 2-day number of $156. Check the RSI, and then I will end it off there. PAYC. Nothing on the quarterly, but we don't have that much data. All right, so the monthly right now on the volatility is kind of going alongside with the idea of a mean reversion, since the volatility tapped out at basically 100%. Now it's moving back down and contracting. So when volatility was going up, price was going down. So while volatility contracts, we should be looking for consolidation sideways or a move towards the upside to make another lower high before we continue towards the downside. But yeah. So volatility going down since after price went down doesn't necessarily mean price is going to go up. It just means it's not going to continue to the downside as of this moment. It could go up. It could make a lower high, but I wouldn't put my cards on that. I would more put my cards on it consolidating and not continuing towards the downside as of this moment. But once volatility resets, like right around this 16-15% area, that's where I would be more on short watch and looking forward to roll over there. As of this moment, I would be more confident that it's going to go sideways. Weekly has confirmed hidden bearish divergence. It has 1, 2, 3 drives of confirmed hidden bearish divergence within the bullish control zone, which is a strong place to see bearish divergence within the bullish control zone, and it's strong to see bullish divergence in the bearish control zone. And now we have 2 periods of zero volatility, 2 weeks of literally zero volatility. Volatility is still at 0 right now. So if volatility does start ticking up right now, it's going to take the bear side, because the bears did put in multiple drives of hidden bearish divergence. And I would be expecting somewhere around this moving average to this middle zone of the RSI. And right now the moving average is at What number? $155. Right next to that. Right next to that number we were looking at before.
Yeah, the bottom of the 38.5, or was it the 50?
The 50%.
Yeah, the 50.
And the next target would be the neutral middle zone, and that number is currently at $148.42. So anywhere between that $145 and $170 is probably the area where we're going to get our short-term local bottom, and then we should be expecting some type of bounce from there. That's probably where we're going to get that mean reversion that we were looking at from the quarterly. 5-day. 5-day also has that same bearish divergence with 2 periods of zero volatility. 3-day has bearish divergence as well, confirmed in the bullish control zone. 3 periods of zero volatility. We should be expecting some type of move relatively soon. 2-day is a little bit opposite though. 2-day has 1, 2, 3, 4 drives of confirmed hidden bullish divergence. We're currently at resistance at this moving average, which is at $162.83. And the bullish control zone is sitting at $164.98. So if we were to go down to $156, that would be a rejection of the bullish control zone. It would probably invalidate this divergence, and then we probably come back down towards this middle zone, which right now sits at $154.91. That's where I would expect that bounce. Another reason why I think that we'd get a bounce there is because it's a significant zone on the RSI. If we were to blast right through that, then this thing is bearish as fuck, and it's very unlikely to do that, considering our volatility is tapped out on all of our higher time frames. But the bearish control zone right now does sit at currently $138.66. Daily also has confirmed hidden bullish divergence, but we've put in a local top right here, which kind of has invalidated it, and now we're breaking back into the bearish control zone. Right now, to get back into the bearish control zone, price would have to close below $162. We're like dancing around that number. Literally like a ball sack here above $162. So I wouldn't say that we're currently over it. I would just say we're in the area where you do not want to mess around with this thing. I would wait for a confirmation whether we close well above it or we close below it. Because if we close below it, then you have a free ride down to the bearish critical zone, which is at $141.50. But the short time frames are telling me that we should be looking for somewhat of a bounce. The longer time frames are also telling me we should be looking for a mean reversion. But the monthly is saying that we're very likely going to put in the lower high and continue towards the downside. And the quarterly is saying that we should be looking for our next macro low before the quarterly trend continues to the upside. Because it's going to take a good amount of price action to make the quarterly into a downtrend. We would have to close below this low right here, which is currently at
under 100. No.
I'm retarded. Yeah, it's at $163.42. That's actually not that much below price action, to be honest. That's only 40 cents, 60 cents below price action. No, we're actually below it right now.
We are, because you're on the daily chart. You're under every single major moving average right now. Like literally, they're all up where you are, like prices.
Yeah, we're actually quarterly is actually in a downtrend, because we closed at 143.04. So that scratches out the idea of the higher low, because quarterly is now in a downtrend. So we should be looking for it to continue lower. That next area I would be looking at based off of this is that $100 area right here. Mm-hmm. And then after that, I really think the $100 area is going to hold. That's just a guess. After that, we're looking significantly lower. We're looking at somewhere around $55. And it's put in the perfect Christmas tree formation too.
Oh,
So on the short-term time frames, I would be expecting some type of mean reversion bounce, put the divergences play out, and then the monthly and the quarterly are going to take over, and this is going to continue towards the downside, probably towards $100. If it's really bearish, $55.
God, that would be so terrible for whoever's holding this bullshit. Right? Because I don't know a single person that's like, dude, have you ever purchased? Are you a holder of PayYC? No, like, no.
If you're a holder of this, I have a fresh stock just came across my desk today, and let me tell you, it's one of the most upcoming and new companies on the market. It's called Fisker. The only
you're gonna love your Fiskers. Fisker, what a great man. He's just a white guy, just like all of us. He likes to make money fucking people over, just like most of us. We like that. We enjoy
beautiful designs. Beautiful designs. The most beautiful designs on the planet.
I got a good one for you. ETH.
All right.
That was a good one.
All righty. Let me.
Bitcoin is going nicely right now. I'm about to close the 8-hour. If we close over the previous high, this thing is probably going to 69K to 70K.
Noise. All right, we'll do after ETH and Pepe, because there's someone asking for Pepe. I feel like Pepe would
Nice,
be
my
interesting
man.
too. Yeah, a man after your heart. All righty, boys. All right. Bueno, en español, pendejos. No, el pendejo soy yo. Ok, tenemos aquí PayC, es Paycom Software. Aparentemente esta es la peor empresa de software de toda la historia. Voy a quitar mis promedios. Pueden ver la caída tan brutal en la que está. El precio máximo está en 553, está en 162 en este momento y ha tenido bajos históricos cuando empezó a cotizar por ahí de los $11, pero estás hablando literalmente del 2014. En este momento hemos visto, y sobre todo, lo cabrones, en este gráfico mensual hay un gap gigantesco entre los 230 y cacho y los 209. Es uno de los gaps mensuales más grandes que he visto en mi vida. Ahora mucha gente va a decir, pues qué chido, va a venir a volver a regresar. Tienes un cruce plateado a la baja en temporalidad mensual. El 9 está por abajo del 21 y acabas de cruzar el 9 por abajo del 100. Esto es de las cosas más bajistas que hemos visto en un rato. Y también, para que no quede duda alguna, vemos la trimestral, acabamos de tener este cruce del 9 abajo del 21, lo que nos indica debilidad. Y bueno, pues pueden ver exactamente a dónde va el movimiento de esto. De acuerdo a todos los indicadores de Farhand de volatilidad y de momentum, estamos sobreextendidos en volatilidad, en volatilidad y está haciendo un reset. Ese reset de volatilidad, porque la volatilidad de antes nos dio el movimiento a la baja que estamos viendo ahorita, ¿no? Este movimiento. Y esta expansión de volatilidad nos llevó acá. Ahora, cuando la volatilidad se detiene y llegas a máximos y ahora va a volver a reiniciarse, no quiere decir que vaya a tomar un movimiento contrario. Lo que quiere decir es que está haciendo un reseteo de la misma y lo que puede hacer es literalmente chopear de lado por un rato que te va a cansar. ¿Qué es lo primero que notamos si somos estudiantes de la formación de velas? Sencillo. Tienes estos altos, altos más bajos, 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 con bajos y bajos más bajos. Lo que nosotros pensamos, y la mejor manera de verlo es en la diaria, es lo siguiente. Estás abajo, en este momento estás perdiendo todos los promedios que te imagines y tienes una de las velas más bajistas que hay y con que simplemente cierres donde está en este momento, cualquier cierre debajo de los 164, cualquiera, y que te dé dos de estos cierres, esto va a ir a buscar el objetivo de los 150 y de ahí lo que nosotros creemos puede ser el principio del movimiento, el final del movimiento que se está a punto de dar, será por ahí de los $100. Estamos bastante lejos de ello, pero va a ser aburrido. No va a haber una caída instantánea a los $100 y ahí vas a tener un rebote. Lo que creemos es que simplemente vas a hacer esto, 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 e ir a buscar esos mínimos. Si eres alcista en esto por alguna razón que Dios no me permite entender, esperaría yo a tener un cierre arriba de los $170. Es lo mejor que puedes hacer. Arriba de los $170 y luego tu confirmación va a estar acá, arriba del promedio de las 200 en la diaria. Si eso no se da, esto no va a cambiar de dirección y tiene cara todavía más bajista, sobre todo cuando ves en la semanal está formando otra vela de tope acá. Así que muy bajista este pedo de Paycom Software. Muy, 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 muy bajista. Pero bueno, no estoy aquí para juzgar a nadie ni nada, ¿no? Más que a todo. All right, CBX.
Nice. So Chevron's actually looking kind of bearish. So not only is momentum on the monthly, which is kind of insane to see, just fully heading down and nuking. Last time we had this kind of lows on BBWP was right here, right in 2020, right before that mega dump. That is something to be aware of because we're getting a similar setup. And in my opinion, Chevron's looking pretty bearish. So, on this monthly here, we essentially lost back in August, we essentially fully deviated all the moving averages. That's basically this EMA 34 in the monthly has been acting as strong resistance. And now we officially this month actually tested that 9, which corresponded with that 21, which would have told you that that was probably strong resistance. Not only that, we did get that 9 crossing under the 21. Just more cautionary signal as well in the monthly that at least there's more bearish momentum here. And so we were fully rejected it almost to the T perfectly. Now we're under the 34 and bears kind of have full control here. The reason why I say that is because, you know, they've for 2 months now have been unable to reclaim any major moving average or any major level at that point. You know, we even saw in September, basically Chevron making a new low in this range, essentially fully breaking this low. And so now, you know, us being under the moving averages while already testing this EMA 9 into resistance, yeah, bears finally got that bearish retest, which is something they were probably waiting for. They probably smoked a lot of shorts here, and now they could easily send this down, especially with the monthly BBWP looking like it's heading to at least extremes. If this starts to curve up and go back above 15%, you know, then we're getting a very similar setup, just like we had here, which ended up resulting in like a 40 to 50% dump, which was pretty massive for Chevron. Let me just let me check actually to the T from the wick low. Yeah, 50. That's a big dump. Granted, that was a black swan, but you know, it was like as soon as that monthly EMA 100 was lost, it just fully exacerbated this move down. So I'm using that as kind of a gauge right now. I do think that as price stands, it wouldn't surprise me to see this monthly turn red. Especially just the way U.S. oil is looking overall, still very bearish. I do think that Chevron in the oil field can at least go and test this monthly EMA 100. This will be a pretty massive spot. We see since it broke above it, we're going to test it most likely. Well, bulls won, and something that can more go in their favor is if they can avoid the breakdown until the next monthly closure. Maybe then this starts moving up, matching price a little bit more in that 134 zone, giving them a bigger bounce. But, you know, the issue is if they start like on the daily, start losing a 134, then we, you know, go back down, we start testing that monthly EMA 100. The fact that we already fully deviated again wouldn't be good. We see that this 134 on Chevron for the, at least the 2 times of data we have has been it's been a pretty big spot. What we don't want is just to fall back under there. That would have implications of us probably losing this monthly EMA 100. And very much just like in 2022, you know, as soon as we lost it here in January, February and March were pretty ugly months for Chevron. And then, you know, I'll be more convinced that we'll probably are going to see this expansion on the monthly for momentum to the downside, which would be pretty brutal. And also another reason why I'm saying that, you know, we view the 2 week now. The 2 week's actually looking interesting to me, especially when we throw this 55 on. We see right now that the 2 week is about to freshly silver cross to the downside. You know, and so that's just another point for bears, essentially. Full on rejection of that EMA 21, rejecting easily that 151.92. Now losing that 2 week 9 again would just give me more confidence that we're most likely going to silver cross, and B, this 2 week EMA 9 is probably going to act as major resistance, lining up with what I see here with the monthly, probably tapping that EMA 100 on the monthly, right? If we don't view the 55 as support, which I don't, I just use it for crosses. What we see here is oftentimes, you know, when we start losing the 9, the 21, and the 34, it usually gives us not instantly, but a move at least to the 100. And that's kind of like what we saw here, just full on move to the 100. Unfortunately, we lost it. You know, and then that was what exacerbated the move all the way down to that SMA 200, which is on the monthly, which would be a pretty bad, that would be really bad if Chevron lost that. That, you know, granted, this was a major black swan, so we did lose it at this time. But I do believe that's the only time we've ever lost that monthly SMA 200. So that would be extremely brutal and telling me something bad probably happened for that to occur. So, but for now, you know, again, like I'm saying, when I'm doing this 2 week chart, it just gives me more confidence that we're most likely going to go down. We just want to see where this is going to close. If we do end up silver crossing on the 2 week, which we'll probably know within this next closure, then I have to start looking at this EMA 9 as resistance, a big spot where, major dumps like to occur. We saw that, on this last dump where Chevron actually went down 6% after cleanly hitting that EMA 9. So this time we'll have a silver cross to the downside. So if we start closing below that EMA 9, that'll probably be where shorts try to step in. If we even view the weekly now, we do see that the weekly has silver cross to the downside. It happened a lot sooner than the 2 weeks. The 2 weeks about to. But again, just another tick for bears on why I do think Chevron is at a very precarious spot where it really could start dumping. We see the last weekly closure kind of formed a hanging man. We're getting that expansion now. Usually, on silver crosses, we want to see that 9 start rejecting, which granted it was, but now we're kind of flirting with that 34 and that 21. So again, ties into what I'm saying. The 2 week and the weekly, luckily for us, is closing in 2 days. Bulls really want to at least hold that 2 week and weekly EMA 9, because then at least they'll start calling that weekly consolidation, bullish consolidation. If we start losing that with a 2 week fresh silver cross, then I have to start looking at that as probably the first steps of a bigger breakdown and us actually testing that 130 zone. If not at the very least 143.
The quarterly is ugly too. It seems like the 9 is just fucking rejecting the shit out of it. And
yeah, that's a great point. So yeah, we do see here that quarterly freshly just lost actually that EMA 9. Keep in mind that when we lost this ended up being a massive deviation, big bull trap. Chevron ended up even going to 166 from all the way to 139. Nice move overall in 6 months, but now we're kind of seeing is not that. And so we did lose it in July. We rallied straight almost to it, wicked a little above, but now we're kind of forming an ugly candle. And this is kind of where I'm saying, and I'm glad you bring the quarterly up, because if bears want, they can really start flexing here. Kind of just with how the quarterly is forming, how the monthly is kind of rejecting now. It's looking not pretty good here. So at the very least, we'll definitely go back and test this EMA 21 on the quarterly over time, which right now is at 139.36. The question will just be if that holds again. Usually in my experience, when we go and we dump to it and then rally up and it's a nice bounce and then we end up rejecting on the next candle, if we go and tap that again, it probably isn't going to hold. And then all eyes on that EMA 34, which again is lining up with what I'm saying, kind of with what I view in the monthly and 2 week, where that 134 to 130 really is going to be a big spot for at least bulls to hold. That 134 here on the 2 week at least is they just want to keep holding it on a closure. What was it on the monthly as well? We have right around there that EMA at 100, which again is a pretty massive spot. For Chevron, if we go and just look when it's in massive bull mode, usually acts as an opportunity when we get dumps. Granted, in the Black Swan in 2020, we were well under it, but usually acts as opportunities. We can go below it, but when we're under the 34, I'm usually getting a free move. So there's that 130 again on the monthly, and then the weekly as well. What was it? Yeah, the weekly again already is looking bad. Only hopium here is that estimate 200 holds right at 142, but I'm not convinced it's going to hold. But we'll see. I would welcome to be surprised on this chart. And usually, with oil, it's highly manipulated with news and just kind of things of that nature. And so, I don't trade it, but as it stands, U.S. oil still is looking bad. Chevron is looking quite corrected to me as well. Confirmed on this next week and 2 week closure, in my opinion. That could, if we start on the next weekly and 2 week openings, that the move down could really start happening, just depending on if we hold this 9 or start losing it, and if this 2 week silver crosses. But overall, yeah, I'm interested to see how the 6 month is looking. It's okay.
Pretty good still.
Yeah, it's okay. There's not much. It is holding that 9 still, welcoming sign. But it's a concerning factor of that 3 month, because that could easily bleed into 6 month. When it's starting to look like this, fresh loss of that EMA 9, rejecting it now, possibly can start forming a bad candle, something like this, where it leaves a really big wick body and then just forms essentially an ugly overall candlestick body, just like almost like an engulfing candle. So that's not what we want. Ideally, we see a bull step in here and they keep holding that 9. If the weekly and 2-week 9 keep holding, then good. To me, then they can have the argument that it's bullish consolidation. Not a good sign that we're seeing follow through from that potential hanging man. And Chevron is basically on the edge, in my opinion, of a major breakdown. And if this monthly volatility starts expanding, which you'll get that confirmation when it gets back above 15%, then a huge move will ensure with Chevron. And as it stands now, it's going to be to the downside. That's just kind of what I'm gathering with seeing kind of U.S. oil and Chevron. I'm getting very bearish vibes with oil, which I guess is good news. We'll get maybe cheaper gas and cheaper airplane tickets, but I think. But yeah, I really wouldn't be surprised if we end up losing this 134. Especially that monthly EMA 100. All eyes on this 110. That's going to be the next point. And if we end up losing that, then this $100, the psychological zone, is going to be kind of the last stand for bulls, in my opinion. But at that point, if we end up closing monthlies below this SMA 200, something that hasn't happened other than a black swan, then we really have to gauge the idea that maybe something bad could happen. If not, then just Chevron as a whole is just not looking good anymore. Especially if no black swan is really, causing that to happen. So really something to be mindful of. I was very surprised to see this as low as it was, especially in the monthly, because this will be giving a setup very soon. And obviously we can stay at extremes. We definitely can. But I have to gauge the last time it was around this level, which was in 2020. And that was to the downside, as we all know. So that's kind of all I see with Chevron. We'll just have to see where this weekly closes in this 2-week. Because that could easily bleed into like a bad weekly opening and 2-week opening easily could bleed into this 15 days being bad, and then this monthly ends up turning red. So yeah, something to consider. And as long as we're rejecting that monthly 9 now, I'm not bullish.
I completely understand. So we said ETH, and you doing Pepe?
Yeah, I can do Pepe.
Alrighty.
No
and then
problem.
we'll jump into the Bitcoin. The Bitcoin. What a glorious coin. Okay. Tengo. Say it again.
No, it's good we're doing Pepe and ETH together because they kind of move in sequence. I think
yeah.
On the chain, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it is. It's an ERC20 token.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right, sir.
The greatest meme coin of all time.
I really think so. So far, right now, yes. Okay. More than Dogecoin?
Yeah, Doge is kind of a gay meme. Pepe is much better.
Well, now if you're qualifying the meme, I'm sorry, I can't enter that chat. I can't. I understand that there's a lot of variety and humor in what you find in one versus the other. I understand that. I'm not saying I favor one or the other, but I think both of them have been legendary in a certain way, right? Like the Pepe move. But dude, like Elon is on Doge.
Yeah.
Well, I don't mean in terms of like financial opportunity. I just mean
No, we're talking about just like exactly that's what I'm saying. If you're like just getting into the meme stuff, all right, that's an area that I cannot qualify it. I'd say where I put it is there's Elon Musk support, and then there's the people support, which gives both of them in my radar a pretty good bump in the scales.
But on the same time, Pepe is fun and it's silly.
It is. It's fucking retarded.
You can make Pepe into anything. You've seen the Donald Trump Pepes?
Yeah, of course.
Hilarious.
Of course. There's been so many people that have made so much money doing Pepe stuff. So good for them. I need to become one of them at some point. Ok. Vale. Estamos viendo acá el gráfico de CVX, que es Chevron Corporation, que son gasolineras básicamente en Estados Unidos, en una empresa de petróleo, energía, como lo quieran ver. ¿Y qué es lo que estamos viendo? Venimos de este bajo, y tenemos esta ruptura a la alza, pero estas son velas trimestrales, por lo que este tope que estás viendo pasó en octubre del 2022, que fue también coincidencia de que fue el fondo del mercado. Entonces, cuando ves al petróleo romper este tipo de cosas, sabes que el siguiente movimiento que se dé a la baja quiere decir que va a haber recuperación económica. Pero por ahora estamos simplemente acá. El problema que tenemos con Chevron es que hasta en esta temporalidad perdiste el promedio de las 9 y normalmente no pierde el promedio de las 9. Por más que haya cerrado aquí este mes, sí no lo perdió, pero ahorita sí estamos siendo rechazados en la trimestral. Todavía le quedan 2 meses y 16 días para ver qué exactamente va a tomar de movimiento, pero tenemos que decir que en temporalidades altas, volatilidad y la expansión de la misma está completamente al otro lado. Estamos yendo a un nuevo setup donde el precio y la volatilidad van a expandir, bueno, la volatilidad se va a expandir respaldando el precio. Eso quiere decir que si perdemos esta 9, probablemente vayamos para abajo y la volatilidad lo empuje aún más, ¿ok? Es algo importante que notar y también otra cosa importante que notar es qué promedios nunca hemos perdido y qué promedios sí. Nunca hemos perdido el 200 en la de largas temporalidades. El de 100 tuvimos el Black Swan de COVID cuando el petróleo se fue a cero. Obviamente esto tenía que ser el peor por lo que el promedio de las 100 es casi nunca testeado, solamente lo hizo en esta ocasión. El 55 claramente es un gran favorito de este movimiento del precio. El 55 en este momento está en 118. Chevron está cotizando en 148. No hay nada aquí arriba de velas de tope que nos indique absolutamente nada. Esta es una vela de indecisión y acá esta es la primera vela que tiene cara de que va a ser vela de tope y sobre todo si el precio continúa bajando nos va a dar y nos va a validar esa teoría. Cuando volteamos a ver la mensual, también en la mensual podemos ver que no nada más perdimos el 9, pero perdimos el 21 y el 9 bajó. Y eso nos dice que hay debilidad en el precio y empezamos a ver una vela topera. Tenemos aquí el promedio del 55 en 148, pero ahora vamos a tener que revisar aquí atrás una vez más qué promedios no perdemos en la mensual. Aparentemente no nos gusta perder el 200 y el 200 literalmente lo hemos perdido una sola vez y acá hiciste un SFP. Acá a la alza que fue en 2015 y ya, o sea, literalmente lo has tocado una vez, lo has roto acá y lo veniste a retestear. O sea, el de 200 nunca lo toca y el de 100 sirve como buen recargón y aún así cae. Por lo que los $129.97 nos sigue dando una idea de que vamos a ver el precio de esto, tal vez venirse a dar una vuelta a estos niveles. Cuando nos acercamos más y vemos en la semanal, podemos darnos cuenta que tenemos un cruce plateado a la baja que se dio acá con esta gran caída. Tuviste la recuperación, tuviste el rechazo del 9, volvió a intentar subir y ahorita está siendo rechazado, pero estás por encima del 9. Lo importante es no quieres perder estos 148.15. Si pierdes los 148.15 o peor aún el promedio de las 200 en los 143 en la mensual, esto se va a ver bastante mal. Estamos haciendo altos más bajos, que nos quede claro en cada una de estas ocasiones. Si no podemos romper la zona de los 153 e ir a buscar estos altos en 164, muy probablemente esto tenga más para abajo. Y lo que creemos es que efectivamente va a ocurrir, que vamos a perder el 9 en el 148 y va a continuar su movimiento junto con la expansión. Pero de nuevo, reaccionamos al precio, no estamos aquí para adivinar lo que vaya a hacer. La gráfica de 3 días, pueden ver que estamos literalmente encima del 21 y el 29, nos rechazó el 55, que le fascina, y estamos abajo del promedio de las 200. Vamos a ver cuántas veces hemos estado abajo del promedio de las 200 en esto, bastante, y cuando estamos abajo del promedio de las 200, tienes caidongos de, más de 50%. Acá también perdiste el promedio de las 200, pero ese fue un movimiento mucho más chico y rápido. Eso fue una caída de casi 10%. No, pero aquí seguías abajo. En realidad fue una desviación hacia arriba, no la cuentes. Ok, ¿dónde más perdimos el 200? Acá. Y eso nos dio otro 40%. Por lo que perder este 200 no es tan bienvenido. Un movimiento del estilo por ahí de los 40% de acá nos llevaría hasta la zona de los $90, lo dudo mucho, hasta probablemente los $100, pero esto tiene cara que quiere bajar. Y de nuevo, lo vemos en momentum, lo vemos en volatilidad, lo vemos con la estructura que estás viendo acá, creando bajos más bajos, altos más bajos. Lo único que quieres romper es el 133.19 a la baja para que continúe el movimiento y la expansión de la volatilidad con él. Pero si puedes trepar encima de los 157, donde puedes ver el promedio de las 200, 158, eso nos haría cambiar de posición. Pero si estamos viendo temporalidades como la de las velas de 3 meses, ¿no? Que tienen literalmente el rechazo de la 9, ahí es donde empiezas a decir, esto probablemente esté en un ámbito bajista y dura bastante cuando el precio cae de estas, es 1, 2, 3, 4, eso fue un año entero, año y cacho antes de volver a retomarlo. Así que atención por acá con el promedio y con el precio de esta chingadera. Vamos, Ethereum. Who's got Ethereum?
Me. Let me share my screen. Vitalik coin.
Cool. I should Pepe.
It's not looking anywhere near as strong as Bitcoin is, though. We did get this reversal hammer candle, and we maintained this 21 EMA. As of this monthly closure, as of this month we moved down a little bit and then bounced, and we're still above the 21 EMA. So as long as we're holding the 21 EMA, we're very lucky to come back up and retest this top 38.2%. And what supports that is that HPR momentum is entering the bearish control zone and it's starting to flip back around. The the volatility is also ticking up in support of the momentum flipping back around. So that would give us a target of this bottom 38.2%, which, because Ethereum likes to move whenever it moves, that is currently at $3,700 right up here, $3,700. That would be how, yeah, it's a massive move from here. That's like a
not even George is expecting
40%. I guess I'm more bullish than George this time.
Wow, holy shit.
40% move to hit that 38.2% quarterly. Right now, the quarterly is on our current cycle highs, where we went up to, I believe, $4,000, almost $4,100. We rejected the median. We tested the median again, rejected, and then we rejected it again. So we have 3 rejections of the median currently, but we still held the 9 EMA. So as long as we're holding the 9 EMA and we don't lose that, we should theoretically test the median once again. But if we lose the 9 EMA, then we're coming back down to this bottom 38.2% most likely, which is currently sitting at around $1,753. The median, though, is sitting at current all-time highs at 4,881. Volatility is starting to tick back up, while momentum is basing right around this moving average, but it's currently pointed down. What we want to see is for this next quarterly closure, maintain this 9 EMA, preferably close over the 5. Because if we close over the Ethereum likes to hold the 5 EMA whenever it's on its up-only mode. It just bases off the 5 and it holds it every single time until it makes a top. So if we reclaim the 5 EMA, very, 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 very likely we're going to new all-time highs and probably higher from there.
So what you're saying is we should buy ETH for the easy, simple 40%, 40+% right now.
Yeah, definitely. And you should use leverage too.
Oh, I will. 30x. I'm in. You know what? 50.
Because clearly Vitalik is a very smart man based off of his political choices.
I've seen his purses. I mean, he must be smart. Those are expensive bags that he carries.
Bro selling several $100,000 of ETH like every month to fund his new girlfriend.
It's weird that he's girlfriends. I still can't believe it. But hey, let's go with that story.
Hey, Vitalik has found love. Can't blame him.
He definitely gets pegged. There's no doubt in my mind.
Oh, for sure. Did he party at Vitalik's house every night?
Absolutely gets mega railed at night by his girlfriend. There's no doubt.
I'd bet money on that.
Yeah.
Rollbit needs to put up betting odds for does Vitalik get railed?
Pegged. It's such a classy word.
The best word. I believe it's in the Oxford Dictionary. So on the weekly, we are getting momentum shifting back up, and it's fully reset. Now it's at basically 0%, and it's currently pointed towards the upside. It's basing off of this moving average right here. While volatility, it's also completely reset at 0%. So we should be expecting a very large move based off of this volatility. And as of right now, momentum is pointed towards the upside. So we should be expecting that to happen towards the upside. While the jewel is also curving back around and giving us this light blue cyan color, right at the edge of the bearish control zone. So if we do cross over this pink, which lines up with the bearish control zone, we're going to be over the pink and we're going to be out of the bearish control zone. The last time this has ever happened on Ethereum when we flipped around was in October of 2023. And you guys remember what happened in October of 2023. Price went up basically from $1,500 all the way up to $4,100. We're getting a very, very similar setup right now to that on the Jewel. 5 days giving us the same thing, although 5-day momentum is pointed very healthily towards the upside, while volatility is starting to expand to support it. And the Jewel is already out of the bearish control zone on the 5-day. Last time that happened on the 5-day, and it's above the pink, was also on October of 2023, last time it happened. But this one was a little bit of a stronger Jewel signal because the pink crossed above the yellow, while the light blue was above everything else. As of right now, the pink is still below the yellow. So it's not as strong of a signal as it was back then, but it's still nonetheless a very, very powerful signal that we're getting on the Jewel. And on the 5-day, we are currently above the median. The median currently sits at 2,419. So as long as we're above the median and we close over the 100 EMA, as of this moment, we're about $4 over the 100 EMA. We very likely go upwards towards like I believe at the very least the top 38.2%, but I think this thing likes to go to the 50%, or at least very close to the 50%. And right now the 50% sits at just over $3,000 at $3,031. So I'd be expecting a move if we close over this 100, which statistically we will after closing over the median. We should be expecting a move to somewhere around $2,800 to maybe $3,000. 2-day right now, momentum is very, very sharply towards the upside. It's breaking very close to breaking into the bullish control zone. Volatility is pointed up, and the Jewel is about to start flipping back around again. And it's currently entered the bearish control zone on October of 2024, which was basically this month. We entered the bearish control zone on the 2-day. We're starting to flip back around. We're finding support at this pink, and the pink is still above the yellow. So if this does flip into the cyan light blue coloring, we're very likely going to break out of the bearish control zone. And this is going to be the third attempt of breaking out of the bearish control zone. Crypto likes to move in the power of threes. So very likely on the third try, we do break above the bearish control zone and we break into the bullish control zone. Daily right now has closed over the blue 38.2%, and it's using the top as support as of this moment, as well as the 55 EMA. But we're finding this 100 as resistance. The 100 currently sits at $2,685. So if we can close over that 100 EMA, we should theoretically get a free ride up to that 200. And the 200 sits at the same $3,000 number we were looking at right before at our 50% on the HPDR. HPDR momentum is currently pointed very sharply to the upside on the daily. It's entering the bullish control zone while volatility is expanding to support it. Volatility is at 54%. So it can still move a lot more before volatility is tapped out. And the daily Jewel is giving us an amazing signal right here, where all of the oscillator and the moving averages are bunched up together. The pink crosses above the yellow, and the light blue crosses above the pink. This is giving a very, very powerful Jewel buy signal on the daily, where right now we're about to break into the bullish control zone as well. So we should be looking based off of that, somewhere around that 88.3, which lines right up with that 200 at $3,000. Let's check the RSI. Ethereum is the best cryptocurrency. Oh my God. I still have this on my chart. Oh, this makes me laugh so much. You guys got to see this.
That dude is retarded. He's one of the worst investors ever that people still interview, along with Cathie Wood, which, by the way, Cathie Wood is unreal. How anyone still takes, like, dude, I fucked up on my prediction of Bitcoin in 2021. I still suffer from it. Like, people won't leave me the fuck alone. You know what I mean? Every time I say something, no matter how much money I've made people, I'm still a fucking loser because of that. Cathie Wood has lost every bet that she's made. Every bet.
Every single one.
And then everyone's like, yeah, let's invite Cathie Wood so we can talk to her. Like, why? What does she have to say that's so refreshing or informative or like, I don't understand. I don't understand.
Yeah, it's a damn shame that TradingView has removed the ability to post tweets on the chart.
Yeah. I didn't know that we had it.
This is one of the most legendary tweets of all time. October of 2021, right before the literal top. Bro says he's irresponsibly long on ETH with leverage in the biggest personal position of his entire life by a factor of 10. And yeah, there's no coming back from that.
Wow.
There is no coming back. I'm not going to delete it because I'll never be able to add it again. But I'll just
hide it. That's incredible.
So right here on the monthly, we did have bearish divergence confirmed for the high of May of 2024. But as of this moment, it has not been. We haven't found a local bottom yet, so it hasn't been invalidated. To make a local bottom, we would have to close over this candle's high, which right now is at 2,728. And we can close over that. We'll have.
You mean 1,000?
2,728.
Got it.
So we close over that. That will confirm a local bottom, and from there we're likely to test this breakdown point, which is right at $3,200, $3,235. The first resistance is going to be this 9 EMA right now, which is at 2,800, which lines up with our 38.2% on the HPDR. Above that, we have a free ride to that breakdown point of $3,200. See if there's anything on the weekly. Nope. No, that's invalidated. No. All right, so daily currently does have a drive of hidden bullish divergence, which is confirmed within bearish control zone. But we've hit most of the easy targets because we've already broken into the bullish control zone. The only target that we have left to hit is the bullish critical zone. And right now, the bullish critical zone sits at 2,765. Lines right up with that 38.2%, 2,800 number. So coming at it from the RSI, that tells me that very likely we probably do find some resistance around that 2,800 number. Maybe we get a little bit of a pullback before we end up moving towards the 3,000s. And as of right now, we are getting volatility support, volatility moving up to support price action moving up as well. And we're getting expansion from almost 0% volatility. Currently, we're at 36.5%. This thing likes to go to 100% and stay there for several periods, as we see every single time that we've had a very strong move up or a very strong move down. So we still have around like 60% or so to go on volatility. So this thing can really move before volatility is topped out. It could, with how volatility is looking right now, we could easily get a move to $3,000, which is the 50% on the HPDR. So Ethereum is looking pretty strong right now. It's not looking as strong as Bitcoin. I would be looking for the divergences on the daily to play out, to hit somewhere around that $2,800 number, possibly find some resistance or go sideways there, reject there, and then upwards and onwards after we make another higher low towards $3,000 and beyond.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Thank you so much, sir. I got Enovix for you. ENVX.
Sounds good. Batteries.
Okay. Let me present this bullshit. All righty. Vale, pues estamos viendo Ethereum en la diaria. ¿Por qué en la diaria? Porque yo creo que aquí está la mejor representación de todo lo que estamos buscando en un promedio de todo lo que está viendo Farhan de todo. Porque se avecina un movimiento potente de acuerdo a la volatilidad y al momentum, porque han estado bastante tranquilos, están subiendo y en este momento se va a tratar de darle continuación al movimiento. Y el punto más importante en toda esta tabla es esto. Justamente donde está el promedio de la 100, que está por ahí de los 2,685, queremos 100% asegurarnos de que este movimiento no simplemente sea un rechazo del promedio de la 100 y se vaya para abajo. Lo que creemos es que vamos a ver a Ethereum tener una pequeña corrección, probablemente esta zona donde está el promedio de las 9 o el 21 en los 2,500, y de ahí ir a buscar no solamente romper esto, pero esta zona de los 2,800. Si podemos romper la zona de los 2,800, vamos a tener un viaje absolutamente gratis al promedio de los 200, que es el de los $3,000. Así que el movimiento aquí se empieza a dar, lo empezamos a ver, creo que es bastante fácil y bastante obvio de ver. Yo lo pondría acá. Estás haciendo bajos más altos. Lo único que no estás haciendo son altos más altos. Así que es por eso que es importante poder romper este alto de los 2,730 y después ir a buscar estos 2,800. Cierres por encima del promedio de la 100 en la diaria es lo que estamos buscando y por ahora es lo que deberíamos de. Cualquier breakdown, sobre todo abajo de los 2,464, nos harían cambiar de opinión instantáneamente y diríamos que tal vez no vaya a tener ese movimiento que estamos esperando al alza, pero tiene cara que lo hará. Vamos a ver qué tanto tiene que reajustar acá, en dónde se va a recargar para poder hacer el movimiento a la alza, pero prefieren las probabilidades, básicamente las probabilidades son más altas de que hagamos eso a que vaya para abajo. Y creo que es obvio porque Bitcoin está pompeando, pero no, obviamente Ethereum no trae nada de fuerza comparado con Bitcoin. Pepe.
Nice.
Le Pou.
Yeah, so I mean, currently right now, Pepe's not looking the worst. We see here this month it basically bounced exactly where it needed to. But the issue is this resistance at 1086 is currently major resistance. Let me just make sure that's right. Yeah, 1086. You can see just for the past 3 months, we've basically now just been under it. With this monthly closure, finding resistance right at that spot, that's going to be a big area for bulls to reclaim. We're not working with a lot of data with Pepe, but with what we do have, that is a big zone. There's for me more things bullish about this chart than bearish, and it's looking welcoming. We just got resistance. The 2-week right now is looking very powerful. It's lining up, with exactly how the monthly is looking. Nice reclaim of that monthly 9, a nice back test into it, bounce exactly where it needed to. And we can just see it's just this one area of resistance keeping Pepe down. That's why for me, it's pretty simple. If we start actually reclaiming that 1086 and actually holding it, more drawn like this, where we start going and then we actually, I don't know why my drawing tool is not working. It's weird. Anyways, yeah, that's strange. I don't understand it, but you guys get the point. Like we actually start consolidating and holding like here, assuming, price looks something like that. That to me would be the feel we need. We're consistently seeing on the 2-week momentum still shedding and coming down slightly, and with the weekly as well, it's still looking good. We're just now caught in this range. So we're bouncing off that EMA 21 nicely, but we keep rejecting resistance. So a decision here, in my opinion, will happen soon. For me, I'm on the camp that if we actually start getting weekly closures back above resistance, it gives us an easy target to that 1345 zone. That's a pretty nice move on Pepe. This will be a major spot for it. Breaking back above there, then I don't see why we wouldn't test these highs here at 1605. But for me, it's really at a key spot to kind of, before we start looking at higher targets, let's just see what the reaction is at this spot. Because this is once massive support. And then when we lose it, it turns into resistance. But if not resistance, we still get major downside moves from this point. So it's at a very key point right now. I do also like on the weekly, we're getting that 9 crossing the 21 and just solidifies the strength. The 5-day as well, same thing. And we're bouncing nicely up that 9 on the 5-day as well. So all the higher time frames are looking okay. It's just that one area of resistance. We see on the last 5-day closure to a T, actually, Pepe basically rejected our zone here. So, that's not, the best of signs, I guess. But, and then we see on this 5-day, we basically took all the liquidity here from this rejection. So it just solidifies the choppiness and kind of the unfun price action we get with these shitcoins. Major moves down, major moves up, and at the end, it just basically doesn't lead to anything. But, at least bulls can say this is bullish consolidation, and it is. We're consistently grinding up with this moving average, and right now we're just slowly resetting that 2-week and weekly BBWP, while it was the 3-day has a fresh silver cross. No, it was the 2-day. Almost got it this time. Well, the 2-day has a fresh silver cross, actually. So it actually, solidifying that we should see a bounce here soon. We see the silver cross right at this point. And so we basically now have just been holding that 9, something we want to keep holding, of course. And we're approaching it. Same with the daily. The daily also is approaching that EMA 9. So, it very well could be we get some kind of base here. If not, then if we start losing this daily 9, I'm eyeing the 21. The 21's lining up with the daily SMA 200, and that 9666 level is going to be a pretty, well, what level is that? I hate reading Pepe numbers, just so you guys know. I disregard the zeros. Yeah, so that 954 level. Yeah, sorry. That 954 level is going to be a pretty big spot. We definitely want that daily SMA 200 to keep holding. That way, we can keep the argument that this bullish consolidation is actually what it is. And that's why what we don't want is rejection, a deviation of the 9, leading to another retest of that EMA 100. For me, I would really like to either see, well, I guess my drawing tool doesn't work now, but either a reaction at this 9 right now.
It's because you have the chain, no?
No, I should. Now it's working. Okay.
There you go.
Yeah, so I'd either want to see like a literal bounce from this point and probably hitting this again. This would be like the third time we're tapping it. Well, I guess I reclaimed it here. But, for me, it'd be multiple times we're tapping this resistance after losing it. 1, 2, 3 now. So if we tap it and get it the 4th time, for me, now this probably would break out. If we end up getting a larger dump, then I just want to see this 21 hold. And that keeps the structure. We're not breaking the lows here. But more importantly, we're not doing what we did here, where we essentially deviated the 9, lost the SMA 200, and went all the way to the EMA 100. I would appreciate if Pepe, even if it went more down, would just change that kind of structure. It even did it here, lost the 9, lost the daily SMA 200, went even lower than that EMA 100, quickly got bought up. It would be welcoming to see that, okay, there's strength in this because we're not redoing this whole thing that we keep doing. We're actually like getting a bid where this SMA 200 should hold, or we're either getting a bounce at that 2-day silver cross EMA 9. So for me, Pepe is getting approaching a bounce zone. It'll just be kind of important to see where we do get that bounce. For me, though, I'm more in the camp that this 2-day is actually going to probably get a bounce. And it is somewhat front running it, but with these altcoins, I always just like to wait. So for me, that point, 988 is going to be a pretty massive level for Pepe. I'm more in the camp we're going to get a bounce, though, just kind of how, many times we've tested this, kind of the 2-day fresh silver cross, the fact that we had a nice last 2-day candle. Also, the fact that the monthly is basically back tested that 9, and now is getting a nice spring from it. I'm more in the camp that Pepe is bullish. We just really got to basically break this level here. Once we do break this level, though, I do believe Pepe will get another nice rally up, and it's been relatively strong. I mean, we basically just been coming down 1 month before we lost the 9, but for an altcoin so far, it's not looking the worst compared to all the other alts. Granted, now we don't have a lot of data, but for what we do have, it's not looking the worst. I know I looked at, I think, Juke last time, and CRO, and those weren't looking good. So it is nice to see at least this coin's not looking the worst. And it would make sense if if we go to my ETH BTC chart real quick, because this has correlation with alts. If ETH BTC can catch a bid, then alts do as well.
I think ETH BTC looks like shit. Yeah.
I think this is probably what's going to happen. And I'm on the camp. We drew this out like 2-3 weeks ago, but I do think right now that ETH BTC currently is in no man's land. It is approaching major support, and that is something I'm watching. I do want to at least get a bounce, right? Because things can't just go down only. And that's literally what ETH BTC has been doing. The theory in this would be that we do get a nice bounce. And this bounce actually would be pretty sizable percentage-wise, like 29, 30%. And what this would do is we essentially would, and this is lining up nicely now, we wanted this 9 to start coming into this zone. It comes into this zone, we get a nice bounce, and we reject the monthly 9, an area that really hasn't been tested in a few months, but always gets rejected. And so that's kind of the idea behind this. And the reason I show this is because if ETH BTC is approaching a major bounce zone, and this is something we've been waiting and watching now for a while, which now I'm realizing too is nicely that monthly EMA 100 as well is coming in nicely. So good confluence of this probably happening sometime. Probably gives Pepe the bounce it needs then. So that's something I'm watching. Let me just, where did it go? Here it is. So that's what I'm watching. It's just 1 point for bulls right now. And as long as we're still rejecting resistance, that's kind of what's happening. We're just at resistance. So there's no long trigger here. The hopium now is just that we probably do pull back more. You just want that 2-day 9 to keep holding. for that silver cross to play out, leading to maybe an expansion of that. Maybe leading to a bigger breakout, because we do see across the board like BBWP is at the lowest it's been ever on Pepe, and it's still contracting, of course. But to me, when I start seeing that it as low too as it's ever been, it tells me that a bigger move definitely can happen with Pepe, to the upside. And as it stands, this is bullish to me. It's still above its weekly 9. It just reclaimed its monthly 9, which are 2 points on my bull market checklist. And then on the daily as well, we're healthily above that EMA 100, while also now basing off that SMA 200, approaching that daily EMA 9. So for me, this is still looking quite bullish. I still believe we either get a bounce here or we do test that SMA 200, which lines up with that 2-day EMA 21, which to me probably acts as an opportunity, lets the daily start resetting more. And then, this already did fire off, but the move from firing off was, let's see, actually, because I'm curious. Yeah, that was nice, 16%. And this kind of will show you, like, this is now resetting again. So, what will the move be when Pepe does reach this 50 to maybe even 80% when it does fully reset? And that's kind of the point I'm making. Like, this can really start moving. We just got to really start breaking this resistance here. If it does, then awesome. I definitely think we can test this zone here. This is at 1349, and then break above there. We're probably testing that all-time high again. I wouldn't see why we wouldn't go and test this here. It's very simple, and with altcoins, especially like Pepe, I don't really overcomplicate it. It works. Usually works in a huge range. We use this dotted as like a mid-range for me, and currently it's looking pretty good. So yeah, I do think, like, let's see here, when it was at extreme, started to expand. Let's see, just out of curiosity before I go. So we had the expansion here. I'm just curious to see also what this move was once Pepe got the expansion, which did fully, give us that move. Basically, didn't reset right here. Yeah, so percentage-wise, this was 45%, 46%. I do think that we possibly could go definitely higher, just for the fact that on the higher time frames, like the 2-week, it's looking amazing, and actually momentum's never been this low. And then also I think on the monthly, the monthly has nothing. It's just a fresh chart, but 5-day as well. 5 days actually looking pretty good. So as it stands, all the higher time frames are making new lows on BBWP, which tells me that if we do get this spring up, I do think that what happened here easily can be, greatly more outweighed, especially on this daily move. Because what this daily will do is it'll bleed into the 2-day, and then that 2-day will bleed into the 5-day, and then that 5-day possibly could bleed into the weekly, which then could give us that at least tick up. But obviously this can keep resetting as well. So it's just some bull hopium. If you're a bear, though, real quickly, I mean, bear hopium here is you just really want this daily EMA 100 to get lost, because then you run the risk of us basically taking out this low here. If we take out this low, I do think we'll get a bigger breakdown on Pepe. I'll make this, because we're getting a lot of red. I'll make that white. So we start taking this low out. You're now deviating fully all the major moving averages on the daily. You're now under that EMA 100, which was basically this, like, after back testing it, what sparked this big move. And for me, it would also invalidate potentially this 2 weeks, potentially. No. Why do I keep thinking it's a 2-week? The 2-day silver cross. Yeah, I would start invalidating that. So that's not what bulls would want, and that's the bear hopium I have right now. There's no bearish setup at all. I'm not even getting any kind of trigger for a short. There's literally none, because if you shorted there, you still run the risk of the 2-day retesting that 9 and then getting a bounce, and then you're just basically fuel for that move higher. So I'd really wait for either that daily closure under that EMA 100, if not a full-on breakdown of this low. Because then now what we're doing is we're just shifting that. When the daily is trying to form structure here, we really want to see this bounce. We don't want to see this lose these lows here, because then the structure is over. We're just kind of back to either ranging in this channel or breaking down. And what I just talked about to the upside, fire that to the downside. And then probably wouldn't make Pepe bulls too happy.
Oh no. And we all know that those 15-year-olds are going to be fucking pissed whenever it doesn't go up. So It'll go up.
What's that supposed to mean?
Those are the richest 15-year-olds that exist that hold Pepe. That's including your ass, motherfucker.
I'm 15 up here.
Dude, I'm fucking not even 12. Are you kidding me? My wife complains about this all the time. She's asking where she can get me a lobotomy, but apparently they don't do them anymore. So
no, it's a shame. They shut down the mental asylums.
We'll keep looking. We'll keep looking for it. Nat gas, Alex. Nat gas.
Okay.
Alrighty. I'm gonna do Pepe. Pepe, la moneda Pepe. Ok, estamos viendo Pepe y les voy a ahorrar todo el desmadre. Básicamente, sencillamente puesto en altas temporalidades como la mensual, la semanal, solamente para que lo puedan ver. En la mensual, rápidamente, y les voy a poner esto. Estamos por encima del 9. Me parece que en la trimestral también, pero no sé qué tantas velas hay en la trimestral o si existe el promedio de las 9. No, en la mensual empieza. En la mensual, el promedio de las 9, estamos por encima y eso nos dice que estamos en, básicamente, un movimiento alcista. En la de 2 semanas, estamos por arriba del 9 y del 21. Eso me dice lo mismo. Pero cuando nos acercamos, por ejemplo, a la de 2 días, aquí vemos que, antes que nada, déjenme platico estructura con ustedes de lo que estamos viendo. Venimos, obviamente, de estos son los máximos históricos. En Pepe lo voy a poner ahí para que lo tengan. Tenemos los máximos históricos, tenemos esta región, estamos rangueando justamente aquí. Y lo que pueden ver que estamos haciendo es creando bajos más altos en total. Yo pondría esto aquí, me atrevería. Estás creando bajos más altos. Ahora, si nos acercamos más, ¿qué es lo que está pasando? Estamos viniendo a este alto, caímos a este bajo que fue un bajo más bajo que este, pero aquí creamos este alto que es más bajo que este bajo que es la primera vez que nos enseña una estructura alcista y este alto que supera este, lo que nos da la esperanza en este momento de que este bajo sea el bajo de acá. Esto quiere decir que este bajo lo voy a poner en mi tabla como algo importante, un nivel importante. Si perdemos este bajo, básicamente dirías, bye bye Pepe, nos vamos al pito. Ahí es donde quedaría. Ahora, más de cerca y entrando a todo lo que son nuestros promedios, podemos ver que estamos saludablemente arriba del promedio de las 9. Estamos por encima del 21 y el 55 que dieron un cruce plateado, lo que nos indica que cada encontronazo con el 9, cada que el precio llegue a tocar el promedio de las 9, sería una oportunidad de compra. Tu invalidación es sencilla. Tu invalidación es esta línea que es donde está pasando también el promedio de los 100 en los puntos 0.00083.6. Si llega a romper Pepe y cerrar abajo de esto, diría tu siguiente objetivo van a ser estos mínimos de aquí y de ahí vas a buscar este mínimo local en 582, 0.0000582. Pero por ahora, ¿qué es lo que estás buscando? Lo que estás buscando es que Pepe se agarre acá, lo voy a poner en la diaria para que también lo puedan ver y que sea sencillo. Lo que queremos es poder romper estos altos de acá, poder tener cierres por encima de esta línea verde. Lo que sí estamos viendo es cómo el precio está intentando toque y toque y toque. Claramente esta es una resistencia importante en este momento que antes era soporte. Y lo que estamos viendo es que se está acercando más, tocando más la puerta en todas las temporalidades de corto plazo. Y eso nos dice que probablemente venga un movimiento, sobre todo cuando volteamos a ver volatilidad y la fuerza de la volatilidad y cómo se ha contraído a través en las temporalidades grandes, nos está indicando que va a haber un movimiento grande para Pepe. El movimiento grande a la alza, superando estos altos y sobre todo en el 11.96. Movimiento acelerado y fuerte a la baja, simplemente perdiendo este nivel de los 8.36. Ahí lo tienen, damas y caballeros. Pepe para todos ustedes. Okay. All righty. Now we're doing Enovix.
Enovix. So we're going to start with the weekly on this one. The reason we're going to start with the weekly is because of these previous lines that I had drawn, which were based off of the jewel. Every single time the jewel broke out of the bearish control zone, I drew a line right there because we're getting that right now. Let me draw another line. Right here, the jewel is breaking out of the bearish control zone once again with this light blue cyan coloring. and now we're about to break over the pink as well. And every single time that we've done that, here's the first time that we did it right here. We had a move of about 25% to the upside from there. We did it right here. We had a move of 86% to the upside from there.
Oh boy.
And right now we're just doing it right here. So this doesn't mean that we can't come back down and like retest our major EMAs, which we're doing right now. We're retesting this 9 EMA at the moment, and we're finding support there. But if you were to do that same type of calculation, like from here and here, let's just do a minimum of 25%.
Yeah.
A 25% move from here would take us to $16 roughly, which would be right where this breakdown point is at, where we ended up making our current high in like around July, I believe, of 2024. And then we broke down from there. So it would be a perfect retest of the breakdown. And if we were to somehow get, not somehow because we did it before, if we were to get that move of last time of 86%, and we are bouncing from the exact same place as last time, where we were at the bottom of the blue 38.2% zone, which we are at this moment right now as well. 86% brings us to new highs, I believe. That's somewhere around $24. Is that new all-time highs? No, it's not. No, it's not.
But it's close.
But that would be a that would put the weekly also into an uptrend, because now we have a low, we have a high, we have a higher low. So now the only thing we need is a higher high, and the weekly will be an uptrend, and then we're going to have to wait for our HPDR ranges to move up, because right now that's well above our 100% range, so very unlikely that we go there right away. What's more likely is that we consolidate a little bit, especially because our HPDR momentum is starting to shift down, with volatility shifting down. So it makes sense to see this pullback. And if this 38.2% doesn't hold, our next target is going to be somewhere around the median, but I don't see that as very likely because of the jewel signal. What I see is more likely is that this 9 EMA and this 38.2% continues to hold, and then we consolidate and go sideways for a little bit while these HPDR ranges move up. And then we would get that jewel signal to start playing out, and then we can move towards those upper targets of around, I believe it was $16 to $24, $25. The monthly right now is looking very strong as well, where we reclaimed the median. Did we move down on the monthly? Yeah, we went all the way down to test the median. We found support there, and now we're about to reclaim the 5 EMA, and we're going to close over this blue 38.2% zone. If we close over this 38.2% zone, and we're going to close over the 61.8, that would give us a statistical target of hitting somewhere around the 78.6 and the 88.3. And that would put us between $13.70 to possibly somewhere around like $15, which is very close to that $16 number that we were looking from that minimum move from the jewel weekly signal. Right now, the monthly HPDR momentum is pointed very strongly towards the upside, vertical basically, and it's breaking into the bullish control zone, and while the volatility is supporting it as well. Volatility is also shifting up. There's not enough data on the quarterly. 5 days also giving us the same setup as the weekly, where first we closed over the 100. Now we're coming back to backtest this 9 EMA and this top 38.2% zone. But the 5 day doesn't look as strong as the weekly, because we're a good amount below the 38.2% zone, and we're closing in about 3 hours. So based off of how this 5 day setup looks like, we would probably come back down to retest this median just below $10 at like $9.61. And that would very likely get everyone bearish, thinking that this rally is going to fail. And then the jewel on the weekly would come back into play and make us our higher low and continue from there. Two-day right now is giving a pretty nasty candle and a rejection deviation of the 200 SMA. And based off of this, we would likely come back down at the very minimum to go to this 38.2%, which is right now at $10.36. And if that doesn't hold, we should find some type of support there. But if we get a closure below there, our next target is going to be the median, which is going to go up after the next close. This is going to close in 3 hours. The median is going to move up. Currently, it's at $9.19. So maybe it moves up to $9.19.
Yeah, but what you were saying before was you're expecting a move to the downside towards the 960, and that would be that.
So tomorrow's open, I would expect it to go up a little bit, and it would be very interesting to see it at 950 to 960, maybe even $10, because we can wick below it, the median a little bit, and close above it. So right now, this 2-day median is lining up perfectly with that, or almost perfectly with that $9.60 number. Our HBR momentum on the 2-day is flipping down, and we're about to lose the bullish control zone. Well, momentum is flipping down as well. I mean, volatility is flipping down as well. And whenever momentum is down and volatility is down, you get a statistical target of the median to the downside. And right now, the median sits at that $9.19 number. The jewel is currently still within the bullish control zone. The pink just crossed over the yellow. So it does make sense that after this cross that we do get a little bit of consolidation, since we're also at our HBDR extreme levels, and which we are getting right now. We're getting a move towards the downside, and we're getting the volatility tapped out, and volatility is now resetting. So what we want to see is that while this consolidation goes sideways, we don't lose this median, and the volatility comes back all the way down to the low point where it resets, and then momentum comes back down to the neutral zone. And then the weekly jewel setup would very likely take back into play, and then momentum will shift back to the upside, and volatility would shift up to start supporting it. That would give us what we need to get that 30% to 80% move. On the daily, we're about to lose the bottom 38.2%. We're currently finding support at this silver cross that we have right here on the daily, which is 21 cross above the 55, and we're currently above the 21 EMA. If we lose this 55 EMA though, what I like to see is that the 200 is right below it, so this should be a very significant area of support, which is at $10.50. But if we lose that, if we lose that, then we're very likely coming back down towards this 88.3. And what number is that? $9.65. Daily momentum is also shifting down. It's entering the bearish control zone, while volatility is supporting it towards the upside. So that's telling you that this move down is going to be an actual move, and it's not going to be a corrective move on the daily. Let's check the
RSI. A dick. So I need to talk to buddy Jose Suarez, who posted the Enovix thing, how to take a picture of his car where you can actually see his car and not just two doors.
Oh, I see that. I see. I used to take pictures of cars, so I can give him a little points. That's
what I'm saying. Just a little bit. I'm not a photographer or anything, but at least I get all the car in.
Although one metric for me to instantly basically hate somebody is if they're a car photographer.
Oh, me too. Yeah,
they're the biggest pieces of shit on the planet.
No, they're just kids that are complete cocksuckers that will do anything just to get in a car. But that's it. Calm down.
As long as somebody has a car, they want to get in it, and they'll suck their dicks for it.
Absolutely.
Right now, we have a possible drive of hidden bullish divergence about to confirm on the monthly. It will confirm as long as we close above $10.40, which we're about 49 cents above right now. That bullish divergence should give us an easy move towards the because since we're so close to the neutral zone, I would say that, but we're close to it. I would say that we're probably going to go towards the bullish control zone. Right now, the neutral zone sits at $13.78, while the bullish control zone sits at $24.95. Do you guys remember that move towards the upside with the 80%? $24.
Yeah.
So that gives me more confidence that the jewel is going to set up on the weekly is going to play out like it did last time and give us that 80-something% move, because the hidden bullish divergence target lines up perfectly with that. We had regular head and shoulders on the weekly RSI, which is now playing out. That would give us a target of the bearish control zone, which we've already hit. The next target, the bearish control zone, is currently at $13.40. Our next target is going to be the bearish critical zone, and right now that number is so low that it doesn't even tell you what it is. So I don't think that's going to happen. I think the hidden bullish divergence on the monthly is going to confirm, and then we're probably going to make a base around where we are now to maybe around $9.50, and then we can make our next higher low, and then continue onwards from there to that RSI divergence target. Okay, nothing 3-day. Nope. All right, so there's nothing on the lower time frames. But as of right now, I would look for a little bit of consolidation while our volatility indicators reset. Maybe get a move down towards that median around $9.50. And then from there, I would expect the jewel setup on the weekly to start playing out, and then the hidden bullish divergence on the monthly to start playing out and take us somewhere around $20, $24, I think.
Seems like the area to hold would be the 1060 to maybe in the worst case, the 950, 940 area, right? And then from there, if we hold, we should be able to carry that momentum towards that area of the $24.
Yeah.
Very nice plug, Alex. I appreciate it.
Always.
You're enjoying that delicious water, people.
My favorite.
Delicious. There you go. There you go, boys. Thank you. Go get your fucking water. No. Ya lo vieron en la tele. Si lo ven en la tele y en el internet, tómense su agua de water, people. Alrighty. Let me present Enovix, and we'll do nat gas. Alrighty. Estamos viendo Enovix en este momento y podemos ver, me encanta esta tabla, por cierto. No sé por qué o siento que decirles esto, pero pueden ver básicamente varias cosas donde podemos aprender. Estamos en una temporalidad semanal. Enovix está cotizando en este momento en $10.86, que es justamente arriba de esta línea. Venimos de esto, de altos, altos más bajos, altos más bajos, altos más bajos, y ahora viene el miedo del siguiente alto más bajo con bajo más bajo, bajo más bajo, bajo más bajo. Pero acá, como en todas las gráficas que hemos visto, podemos ver que no rompimos este bajo más bajo, el de acá. Lo que nos podría estar diciendo, para empezar, esto sería un mega hombro. By the way, this might be the biggest inverse head and shoulders anyone has ever seen. Look.
I didn't notice.
Look at this. Shoulder.
Oh, shit, you're right.
Head. Shoulder.
Yeah.
And basically, the line would be something like this. Wow, that's terribly done.
That gives us a pretty massive move up.
Oh, that'd be fucking humongous. Hang on, let me just like free ball it right here. This is the bottom. Let's just say that the line is going through here to about here. And let's say we break it right here. Oh, shit.
Is that $24?
It's 28.24, which is like this area where you had this high and then this rejection right here.
Yeah, it's a breakdown.
Interesting.
That's very interesting.
Sorry. Thank you, boys. Entonces, estamos viendo aquí también, acabamos de ver un hombro, cabeza, hombro, cuando volteamos a ver patrones de velas, formaciones más bien, es donde nos damos cuenta qué es lo que hay acá. Estamos viendo un hombro, que es el punto más alto de esto. Acá, hombro, hasta acá, cabeza, que es más profundo que el pasado, hasta acá, y tienes el otro hombro acá. Ahora, ¿dónde rompes esto? Para todos ustedes que andan aprendiendo aquí, podemos poner esto así y básicamente decir, una vez que rompamos esta zona y cómo medimos el movimiento de esto, lo harías de acá a la parte, qué pendejo soy, discúlpenme, a la parte más baja de esto, que sería acá. Y esto es aproximado y nada funciona tal cual, señores. Esto es simplemente probabilidades. Y ahora digamos que rompemos acá a la alza y eso nos llevaría o a esta zona o que lo haga más abajo o acá mismo hasta básicamente esta zona. Interesante lo que estamos viendo por ahora en Enovix. Eso es simplemente algo para enseñarles. Ya analizamos el bajón, arriba, bajón. Y me voy a ir rápidamente con los promedios. Aquí no hay mucho pierde. Aquí lo puedes ver en la diaria, lo tengo en la semanal, pero puedes ver que simplemente con que el precio suba tantito vamos a tener un cruce plateado a la alza. Estamos recargándonos en el 9, que está en 10.88, el 21 está en 11.01 y el 55 está ahí luego en el 11.33. Cuando nos vamos a la de 2 días, podemos ver acá el promedio de las 200 que va justamente encima del 11.99. Pero, importante, estamos arriba del 21, el 9 está por encima del 21 y el 9 también está por encima del 55. ¿Qué es lo que estamos buscando en este momento si somos alcista en Enovix? No quieres perder esto, la zona de los 9.60. Este sería el peor escenario. Si pierdes la zona de los 9.60, muy probablemente vayas a crear un nuevo mínimo antes del movimiento, pero de acuerdo a todos los indicadores de volatilidad y momentum que se están reseteando y que están dándonos un siguiente paso para arriba, lo que nosotros esperamos es tener un cierre simplemente arriba por ahí de los 11, con que logremos cerrar en los $11, esto tiene pinta de que va a empezar a tirar hacia la alza y tenemos un objetivo por ahí de los 20 a 24 dólares en este momento. No sabemos si va a haber una corrección y qué tan profunda es esta corrección con el movimiento a corto plazo. Podría que nos tire por acá, etcétera. Pero simplemente no queremos perder, si eres alcista, esta zona de los 9.60, ponle así. Pierdes los 9.60, adiós a toda la teoría de lo que te estamos diciendo. Pero si no, y en cambio cierras por acá arriba, bien, pintaría muy bien para continuar estos movimientos a la alza. Y tu confirmación del siguiente movimiento a la alza va a ser por acá de los 13.20. Una vez que rompas ese alto más bajo, te va a decir que va a haber continuación y tu siguiente objetivo debería ser los 17 dólares hasta este alto de 18.63. Así que pendientes ahí con Enovix, damas y caballeros, como de que no. Vale, pues, Alex, you got not gas.
Nice. Yeah. So NatGas on the weekly is looking interesting. I identified a simple range, but then also just this wedge that it's forming. And so I'm getting pretty nice support currently at this $2.16, and even at the bottom of this channel, it's basically $2. So it's going to be interesting to kind of see where this goes. Is it going to, lead to a breakdown or break up? For me now, currently, it's nice because this is lining up nicely, this resistance with that weekly EMA 100. It's a big spot. Let's see, the last big rejection from that zone to the bottom of the channel was 38%, which actually quite surprising. Let me just double check that. Yeah, so that's insane. So 38, almost 39% from this weekly EMA 100 rejection. So we know then, interpreting that, it's a pretty big area of resistance. We're now rejecting currently while forming a shooting star here. So it's more ideal to be cautious going into this weekly because we don't end up holding this 21, this 34, especially this 9. It's going to be more, it's just going to be more, of an edge for bears essentially to break this down. And currently a breakdown would take us to $1.60 in my opinion. And at that point, that's kind of the last area for bulls for NatGas. If we end up losing that, then we're in the should abyss of the chart. Not in a good way. So, watch very closely how this weekly closes. It's going to be very important. I'm curious to see how this monthly is also looking. We see this easy EMA 21 rejection on the monthly. This EMA 21 actually for many months now has been a major point of rejection from this all the way to here. And now we're simply rejecting it on this monthly. So, we're now pressing that weekly EMA 100, that monthly EMA 21. We're in this wedge here. So volatility should come soon. As it stands currently, while we're under that EMA 9, very, it's not heavily under it, but as long as we're still rejecting that EMA 21, we definitely have more momentum to lose this 9. It's just not a good sign to reject the 21. It's usually a sign of weakness. After we did that here, we opened up to a nice downside move of almost 20% and then ended up rejecting that monthly 9. So overall, this monthly is going to be important, which tells me that this 2-week, which is closing, in 2 days, is even more important. Because this 2-week will kind of determine how this monthly ends up closing, in my opinion. If in 2 days we end up losing fully this 21 and 9, while also losing that $2.16, $2.17 support, to me, then this could be looked at as potentially a bigger breakdown. And we'll just have to look for the bottom of this channel to either act as support or we break down from it. So far, the meme channel has been acting as support. And we're just kind of in that no man's land where we're still in the downtrend because we're consistently making lower highs, but we're also making like higher lows as well. So we're not very clear, but overall, the overall trend is still down, of course, because the macro on the monthly is definitely in a downtrend still. That's why being able to break back above, especially that EMA 100 on the monthly, is going to be pretty key because what that'll mean for me is that we're breaking that basically last rejection wick high, and that probably fuels us to this wick high. Breaking back above there then fuels us at $3.70. But until then, we still have this massive resistance at $2. What is this? $2.80. So It's definitely not looking the best for bulls on nat gas, and we're kind of seeing that across the board with energy. It's kind of interesting to see.
By the way, here we go back to close to the lower lows that we made. I'm going all in on this shit too, because they're like the big conflict right now that exists. There's an energy and resource war that no one's talking about, and people think that Europe has completely settled for the gas of the United States and Qatar. But the reality is there is a massive need by Europe, and they're understanding this, to make peace with Russia in some way, shape, or form, to get more natural gas. If they don't get that natural gas, this shit's gonna fucking blow up like a balloon.
Yeah, and that's interesting because as it stands, now, I mean that low, the $1 is definitely, I mean, has been acting as an opportunity through and through. At least that $1.65, and it's kind of crazy how fast this can move. Buying this at $1.60, this goes up to 10x, over time, of course, but it's not bad to 10x your money in 2 years. So, even here from this mini pump we got, it's still like almost a 3x, or almost was a 3x from your money. So, it's definitely volatile. I don't know much about it, but what I do know is we have pretty important closures coming with a weekly, a 5-day, a 2-week. And that's why it's going to be pretty key to kind of see if bulls can pick up and defend, especially these moving averages here now, or if we full on lose it. Just simply using this 5-day chart we see here, anytime we lose basically all the moving averages, the 9, the 21, the 34, it leads to big dumps. We see that here. We even see it. Where was it? It was, basically here when we basically first lost it. We even lost that EMA 100 on the 5-day, an area we rejected, and that just kind of exasperated the move down. So, we did reject that major resistance. We did form some pretty ugly candles at that rejection point. So that would have been your key metric to kind of, maybe de-risk or be more cautious if you were long. And now we're in like the process of breaking down. We just really want to see if bulls can step in here, because we're at a 5-day, weekly, 2-week support, and it's really going to be key for bulls to step in. If they don't, this will start, engulfing this last 2-week. It'll start losing the 9. It'll potentially give us that breakdown that we're waiting for. And with this weekly and 2-week wedge here, this probably will be a lot bigger. Like we were viewing an easy wedge on Rivian. The only difference is this is just more on the higher time frames. Momentum's not really giving me anything on this, so I don't really have anything to say about that. And I would really just pay like the candlesticks and the simple moving averages, especially with natural gas, because it seems like it really just moves really easily, and it respects the moving averages that we watch. And that's just simply put, just the reaction, like catching this rejection here, 30% down. It's pretty easy, nice money, and it really wouldn't have taken a lot of effort to catch this short. And so we did reject the same area that we dumped 30%. We're at a very precarious spot. We end up losing that 2-week EMA 9, that weekly 9, that 5-day 21 and 34. Then, to me, it's definitely a sign that we're probably going to go back down and test $2. That'll be a very key. If we end up taking these lows out and going back under 180, then we have to start looking at this probably running the lows again, and then hope that actually gets some kind of bounce. Because if it doesn't, natural gas can, I guess, go lower. We're not dealing with much data from much lower than $1.60, and we do see on the 6-month, we've steadily just are rejecting that 6-month 9, and that's never a good sign in my opinion. Which makes me believe that the quarterly probably didn't close that nice.
Oh no.
We did form a reversal here, a nice hammerhead, but it did not change anything in regards to like important moving averages that keep rejecting. We didn't even test the 9. We did that on this quarterly open, again, lining up with this wedge here, and it just rejected it, and that is basically solidified by that weekly and monthly EMA 100. It was the weekly. This was the monthly 21, the weekly. Yeah, that's what it was. This would have been your spot. So, overall, natural gas isn't looking good. It's looking quite weak. This is a terrible quarterly candle incoming. We really want to see bulls kind of step in, maybe form a doji here. Luckily, this closed in 2 months, but it just kind of shows you the weakness. Like, if we are going to be bullish on natural gas, the easy trigger at least is when we can just start at least reclaiming either this quarterly 9 or even just reclaiming the monthly 9, which we did. So now we just want to see it hold for this next monthly closure. That to me could be a welcoming sign for sure. But we're now just in this moving average range on the monthly, and things aren't really that clear. And they're, to me, leaning more bearish. So I'd be very cautious to that. Before I sign off, just curious to see how the daily. And so we are approaching support here. We see that daily at SMA 200. It's lining up nicely with that $2 range. So I'd watch very closely because we start losing this daily SMA 200 range, and this meme line, and on top of it, rejecting that weekly EMA 100, then to me, it just solidifies, we're probably going to test this $2. And the fact that we've tested this so many times, it makes it weaker. So we have to be on more of the camp that we probably could get a breakdown from this point. And even if from losing that $2 down to support, it's still 17%. So, watch very closely. I'm really not getting anything else other than just this wedge, the fact that we're rejecting resistance, and now we're kind of coming down. So I just want to see bulls step up, and I want to see this weekly and 2 week actually close nicely, which would mean it just holds the 9. That'd perfectly be fine for me. If it loses it, then that's my first signs of like, okay, probably this is going to start breaking down.
Yeah. Well, that was fucking awesome. And thank you, boys. Is there anything else you guys want to add, want to look at, etc.?
No, I appreciate it. Always a good time.
I forgot to unmute myself.
I saw you.
You could already tell.
I saw. No, that was great. I thought we looked at some really good charts, some good fucking shit. It's surprised no one asked for Bitcoin, but hey, we'll take it. I guess you guys will give your insights on the Discord, and I'm going to leave it for everyone so that people can go check it out because there's a lot of movement right now on Bitcoin.
Yeah, a lot of crypto volatility. Sounds good though. Yeah, I'll post my thoughts on the Discord. So I'll see you all there.
Perfect. All righty, boys. Thank you so much. Have a good one,
fellas. I'm going to get some sleep.
Care. Please do. Please. Vale, pues. Estamos viendo el gas natural. Gas natural. ¿Por qué? Porque aquí pone mi carnalito Cristian UNG. UNG es un ETF del gas natural. Y un ETF del gas natural se va a ir a cero a través del tiempo. No puedes comprar un ETF y holdearlo con cojones por mucho tiempo. Quieres hacerlo por movimientos a corto plazo, corto, mediano plazo. Entonces, para mí es más importante, si estoy analizando el gas natural, entender, si estoy analizando UNG, que es un derivado del gas natural, lo primero que tengo que ver es gas natural. Y entonces es por eso que estoy justamente aquí en NatGas y no en UNG, pero es básicamente lo mismo de cierta forma. ¿Ok? Después de analizar eso, tienes que analizar UNG y ver. Pero ahí te va la del gas natural. Muy interesante la tabla, sobre todo cuando lo ves en la semanal. Quiero que vean esto. El gas natural ha llegado a los casi $10. Eso lo hizo en el 2022 y en el 2022 nada más. En el 2022 llegó hasta esos puntos de extrema compra y recuerdan por qué fue. Fue porque Rusia y no sé qué, y como Rusia le quitó el gas natural a Europa, pues Europa tenía que ver qué iba a hacer y Estados Unidos muy convenientemente entró a venderle todo su gas natural a Europa. Aquí tienes un hombro, cabeza, hombro, perfecto. Y aquí tienes la ruptura. El objetivo de este cabeza-hombro serían 66 centavos si es que se fuera a dar, pero no se tiene que dar siempre todo el movimiento, entendamos eso. Ahora, venimos en una tendencia bajista. Cuando tienes esto y consolidación, esto es una bandera bajista. Esa bandera bajista, y sobre todo cuando consolida para arriba, por cierto, te va a volver a tirar, consolidar para arriba, volver a tirar, consolidar para arriba, volver a tirar, pero esta vez estás haciendo bajos más altos, aunque no estás haciendo altos más altos. Lo tengo en la semanal porque yo creo que es la que nos dice todo y junto con la diaria, ahorita les pongo la diaria. Estamos entrando en este triángulo de compresión y cuando tienes eso va a haber un movimiento que se va a dar violento. una vez que llegas como al apex, al final del triángulo de compresión, ¿dónde lo pondrías, no? Acá, básicamente por ahí del marzo del 2025. Ahí va a haber, antes de eso, tiene que haber un movimiento fortísimo de a la alza o a la baja. Y acá, como les digo, tienes este alto, este bajo, este es un alto más alto, pero este es un alto más bajo y tienes una vela topera que además de todo está por encima dándote una desviación para abajo. ¿Qué es lo que esperamos? Voy a poner mis promedios. Rechazo el 100 y hemos visto que desde acá atrás, en el 2022, el 100 simplemente nos ha rechazado sin parar. Y aquí abajo tenemos en el 2.6 el promedio de las 9, abajo tenemos el 2.5 y también el promedio de las 21 en 2.5, básicamente en 2.5. Si los llevo a la diaria, se van a dar cuenta que perdimos el 9, perdimos el 21, nos están rechazando y vamos a ir a buscar esta zona. Si no aguantan nuestros promedios acá, lo más sencillo para ustedes es esto. Si no aguanta el 2.466, ¿no? Esta zona justamente aquí, y se los voy a marcar para que lo tengan como referencia cuando vuelvan a ver algún video del tío Salo. Si perdemos esta zona, esto estaría creando un bajo más bajo y te va a dar una alta probabilidad de venir a testear el 2. Si vienes a testear el 2, te va a dar una alta probabilidad de venir abajo en los 1 y de ahí a buscar fondo local. El gas natural es una de las cosas más violentas y locas que existe. Nunca tradea tal cual te lo está diciendo. Entonces lo quieres agarrar en extremos. En este momento está en medio de un movimiento extremo, pero no tiene una clara dirección todavía, por lo que no lo voy a tocar. Por más que todo el mundo siga chingue y jode que cuando vamos a volver a entrar al gas natural, tranquilos. Y es justo lo que les dije a Farhan y Alex. Si el gas natural vuelve a ser mínimos, ahí es otra de esas donde entras con todo. Porque esta vez, tenemos un problema. Europa se acaba de dar cuenta, 2 años después, de que el suministro de gas de Estados Unidos, de Algeria y de Qatar no les alcanza y no les rinde. Entonces tienen que pedirle a papá Rusia por gas y lo van a tener que hacer a través de un tercero, porque obviamente, como ustedes son imbéciles, ¿no? Así es como nos ven nuestros políticos, como nosotros somos imbéciles, no podemos entender que estamos comprando gas ruso porque hay un intermediario. Pero pues es lo que están haciendo con todas las sanciones de todo. Y vaya, el movimiento del peso mexicano, se los pusimos. Ahora, siguiente objetivo, 2013. Vale, pues ahí lo tienen todo, damas y caballeros. Sin más ni más, me voy a descansar, me voy a ir en realidad a correr unas 2 horas, unos tranquilos, ¿qué? 13, 14 kilómetros, y los veo en un rato para un Nadie me preguntó y un buen capítulo de coches. Pórtense bien, perros. Un gustazo. Gracias por estar acá con nosotros. Y recuerden que en la descripción tienen todos los enlaces para poder participar con nosotros en el eTrading Academy, en el Discord, que es completamente gratis, leer todas las señales, etcétera. Ahí lo tienen. Les mando un fuerte abrazo, pórtense mal. Nos vemos.